In St. Louis, Josh Lewin, and this is the final game of 1997. A lot of Cub fans saying it couldn't have come a moment too soon. It's been a forgettable season. We'll break it down for you in just a moment with Steve Stone. But first, we have to break down what happened yesterday. Mark McGwire was the man. This is home run number 56. Puts him in some rarefied air, some elite company, and goes on to hit number 57. He's got a chance to tie Jimmy Fox and Hank Greenberg today as the only right-hand hitters ever to have hit 58 home runs in one season. We'll be talking a lot more about McGwire, but first, I know a lot of people want to talk about what went wrong for the Cubs in 97. Stoney's in to help us talk about that right after this.
Freno and his students make headlines.
That's F-R-E-N-O. Make sure you don't put two N's in it. My mom would have a fit.
But the truth may get him fired.
You wrote the story.
Well, you published it without my permission.
Yeah, but you wrote the story.
And all new Freno. Then on the Parenthood, Zarias found Mr. Right.
Me?
You know, this guy doesn't seem like Zarias' type.
Aren't I light on my feet?
Those aren't your feet, those are mine.
And all new Parenthood after Freno.
Tonight at 6 on WGN.
Sometimes, red Chianti lipstick is not fabulous. And little black dresses are not sexy. But folic acid is fabulous. And selenium is sexy. GNC's Women's Ultra Mega. With the hottest vitamins, minerals, and herbs. Fabulous. Women's Ultra Mega multivitamins. Exclusively at General Nutrition Centers. GNC. Live well.
Even though Dodge Ram is the bright red gold standard of pickup trucks, we're always improving things. We've made our available Magnum V8s even more powerful. We've improved the already world-class interior. In all, we've made 130 improvements to the Ram lineup since introduction, including this one, our new flow-through ventilation system. New Ram Quad Cab. The rules have changed.
Perhaps our most impressive safety advance ever. A Volvo that can save your soul. Introducing the all-wheel drive cross-country from Volvo.
Well, 1997 did not go well for the Chicago Cubs. I guess we put that in the duh file. I guess we all know that, Stoney, but people want to know why. Why did 1997 go the way it did?
Well, you could put your finger on a number of different areas. We chose to just highlight a few, and first of all, quite obviously, Josh, they couldn't win on the road. You know, they had all kinds of trouble in domes. They were just 1-11, 26-54 overall. We've talked about the disparity in power. You see the opposition hitting 184 home runs. The Cubs with 127. That's something they'll have to address in the offseason. On-base percentage as a team, third lowest in the National League. And if they've solved their #1 spot with Lance Johnson, that could rise dramatically. And the bullpen, everybody thought to be a strength. Well, they're 12-32, and the bullpen has had a particularly bad second half. So obviously a lot of work for Ed Lynch and Andy McPhail. We know that going in, Josh, and it's going to be a very interesting offseason.
Yeah, and already, I guess, the wheels are starting to turn. Word comes today, Marco Olivares will not be back as the Cubs' first base coach. I would think that there would be more changes, but do you revamp a coaching staff, or what else can you do right now?
Well, I don't think that we're going to see too much more movement in the coaching staff. Obviously, we hate to see Marco go. He was a wonderful man with a world of friends in Puerto Rico, and I'm sure that he will find a job somewhere. That's just the first of many moves, and it's going to be personnel moves, and I'm looking not so much at the front office. I'm looking at the field. I think that's where it happened, and I think that's what will be changed.
I agree with you, and hopefully better tidings for 98. Obviously, we're looking forward to the final game for the Cubs this season. It's the last game for Ryne Sandberg, and that's kind of depressing.
Well, certainly a salute to Rhino here in St. Louis. Everybody just hoping that he has a great life after baseball. I'm sure he'll find it, Judge.
And hopefully he can go out in style. The Cubs and the Cardinals today. We'll be back to preview that in just a moment.
On an all-new Tom show, Tom's back in the dating pool.
Here's the key to my van.
And he's making quite a splash.
She likes you. She wants you to call.
What do you think she meant by that?
The Tom Show. Then, on an all-new All Right Already, Carol's seeing eye to eye with a new guy. can't wait to have my arms around you.
I could choke on a breadstick.
It's the episode the LA Times calls the funniest new comedy of the season. The Tom Show and All Right Already. Tonight at 8 on WGN.
Well, folks, Doug is the man. Doug took this place global. Doug made commitments around the world. Doug convinced me to risk it all. And it was Doug who shipped everything with some company I'd never heard of. Screwed the whole thing up. And that's why Doug is locked up in the closet. Hello? You okay in there, buddy?
Next time, make it FedEx, the most reliable express company there is.
Can I come out now? No, Doug. I'm not finished singing your praises.
A lot of industry experts told us that the passenger side was the best place to add a third door. We got still more advice insisting that the driver's side was the only logical choice. But as you can see, we let it all go right in one ear and out the other. Introducing the new Dodge Ram Quad Cab. The rules have changed.
As mentioned, the last game of the 1997 season, it is also the end of the road for Ryne Sandberg. On the field, what more can you say than what you are reading on the screen right now? I guess you could add that he will be in the Hall of Fame, probably on the first ballot, you would hope. And our congratulations to Ryne Sandberg on a Hall of Fame career that he's had exclusively as a Chicago Cub. Steve Trachsel is going to be on the mound today for the Cubs, trying to neutralize Big Red. Mark McGwire with 57 home runs, looking for 58 or more. More on that coming up.
Guests on the leadoff man will receive a Zenith Color TV with remote control. At Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on. And a handsome piece of jewelry from Henry K. Jewelers, Third Level Water Tower Place, Chicago. Leadoff Man has been brought to you by the new Dodge. From cars to minivans to trucks, it's about change. See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
Jamie Foxx gets hit in the head. He's hurt, not dead. A little mistake to the psych ward he's led.
They all think he's crazy.
Tonight at 7 on WGN. Are you ready to dish the dirt?
You stand behind him, honey. He has got the tush of a god.
Hello.
Lay down the rules.
I'm taking a class in kickboxing. Do you want to be my final exam?
Walk through the minefields of love.
You think after God created dogs, she'd know creating men was redundant?
WGN's got just the girls for you.
Today was a good day.
Khadijah, Max, Regine, and Sinclair.
You the man. Come on.
They're living with attitude.
Then I do it again.
On Living Single weeknights.
You want to fight back? Join us.
Coming this fall, one of the most highly anticipated series of the new season. Lost for 20 years, his legacy to the world will finally be revealed. From the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry's Earth, Final Conflict.
Premiering October 18th on WGN.
Well, folks, Doug is the man. Doug took this place global. Doug made commitments around the world. Doug convinced me to risk it all. And it was Doug who shipped everything with some company I'd never heard of. Screwed the whole thing up. And that's why Doug is locked up in the closet. Hello? You okay in there, buddy?
Next time, make it FedEx, the most reliable express company there is.
Can I come out now? No, Doug. I'm not finished singing your praises.
Dodge Caravan is the most award-winning minivan in history. It's a Consumer's Digest Best Buy, one of Automobile Magazine's All-Stars, and one of Car and Driver's 10 Best. So how do you make the best-selling minivan in history even more appealing? You offer up to $1,000 cash back. And at $17,065, this Caravan becomes the lowest-priced minivan in the industry.
The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
He was brought in to light a spark, and Mark McGwire has done just that. Every time he steps to the plate, there's electric anticipation. All season, he's treated fans to something special, and yesterday, no different. His 2 home runs send him into today with 57. It's the final game of 97. Cubs and Cardinals next.
Chicago Cubs ball on WGN. Brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. The Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. The Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. Pepsi, Generation Next. Montgomery Ward. Nissan, your local Nissan store, encourages you to test drive the all-new 1998 Altima today. And by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places.
Don't you hate paying all those bills? Well, at Ameritech, we combine your local and long-distance calls into one convenient bill. We can even put your Ameritech cellular and internet service on your phone bill. Unfortunately, some long-distance companies prefer to send you a separate bill. That's their idea of easy. Ameritech delivers what you want. One bill, one check to write, no hassles. Stick with what works. Ameritech. Your link to better communication.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you until again. Yeah. Happy trails.
He's not going to make it, is he?
In St. Louis, it is the final game of the 1997 regular season. Welcome. I'm Josh Lewin. He's Steve Stone, and this is it, partner. Last game of 97, the last open that we'll do together this year. Hopefully many more in 98 that will provide a little bit better in terms of a one-loss record. It's been a frustrating year. What can we look forward to today?
Well, the games don't mean too much, but the baseball world has eyes for 2 players here today. Mark McGwire, who's looking for the record. Obviously, he's not going to catch Roger Maris, but he certainly can catch Jimmy Fox and Hank Greenberg. He needs just one. Ryne Sandberg playing his final game as a Chicago Cub, and that's always kind of a bittersweet moment as far as the Cubs and all the Cub fans are concerned.
You don't think McGwire can hit 5 home runs today?
I think he's going to have some problems, even against Steve Trachsel, who leads the league in home runs given up. But I think he can hit 1 or 2 if the Cubs pitch to him. He walked 3 times yesterday, had 2 pitches to swing at, hit them both out of the park.
All right, so McGwire and company against the Cubs. It's next.
There's lots of places to take your family this summer. So why not take them someplace they actually want to go, like McDonald's. For a McRib Extra Value Meal, a tangy McRib sandwich, ice-cold Minute Maid lemonade, and a large order of America's favorite fries. It's the coolest place to be on a summer day. It might even make the family road trip bearable. Well, almost.
Low interest.
Cash back.
Low lease.
You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
Final time taking the field for Ryne Sandberg this afternoon. The final game of the 1997 season for the Cubs. They're in at 68 and 93. And Jim Riggleman's lineup for the last day of the season, you'll note there is no Sammy Sosa in there in that lineup today. Sammy will be getting an at-bat, maybe 2 we're told, but Robin Jennings at the top of the order. Ryne Sandberg will play game number 2164 today. Mark Grace at first. Brant Brown will be the cleanup hitter in place of Sammy. Dave Hansen's at third, Tyler Houston catching. Brooks Kieschnick becomes just the second man to start in right field in 1997 for the Cubs. Manny Alexander at short, Steve Trachsel on the mound.
And the defense for Tony La Russa and the St. Louis Cardinals: Plantier, Langford, and Young. Left to right in the infield, Gaetti, Ordaz, DeShields, and McGwire. And a battery of Marrero and Manny Ibar.
Veteran umpiring crew: Bob Davidson has the plate today. Frank Pulley, Greg Benet, Eric Gregg, the rest of the way around. The Cardinals take the field. They're expecting a sold-out house today. And as much as a lot of folks are here to say goodbye to Ryne Sandberg, and they had a very nice ceremony for Ryno just moments ago, you get the strong sense that a lot of these fans are here to see if Mark McGwire can do the unfathomable. He would need to homer 5 times today to get by Roger Maris, and that's never happened in baseball. There's never been a 5-home-run game. He did have 2 yesterday. Now there have been 12 4-home-run games in the major leagues, and the most recent guy to do it was the St. Louis Cardinal, Mark Whitten. But you got to figure hitting 6 or 7 home runs over a 2-day period, Stoney, that is a pretty tall order, even for this tall first baseman.
Well, especially for the fact that Steve Trachsel threw very well against McGwire at Wrigley Field on a day with the wind blowing out, so perhaps he'll have the same kind of luck today. And there's a look at the 6'1", 165-pound Dominican, Manny Ibar. He's got a pretty good chance to be a good pitcher, although he hasn't shown a great deal of that this year. He's got a pretty decent fastball, a slider to go with it, and he throws very few changeups. And before the game, they had a ceremony for Ryne Sandberg, commemorating his final day in a Chicago Cubs uniform. And the fans here paying homage to a man who has served so long and illustrious in that Cub uniform.
All the Cub fans here to say goodbye today, and talking to Ryno before the game. He's not sure yet if he's up for just 1 at-bat, 2 at-bats. I think a lot of it will depend on how that first at-bat goes. Well, we know that this is it for Ryno today, and some conjecture on whether or not he'll be able to pull a Ted Williams homer on his final at-bat. That would be terrific. When Ernie Banks hung it up, he went 1 for 3 in his final game. His last at-bat was a pop-out. And we'll see if Ryne Sandberg can take it up on what Ernie Banks was able to do back in 1971. Robin Jennings is the first Cub batter today. It's 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jennings starting in center and leading off for the second time in this series.
And last time out, Ibar went against Cincinnati, threw the ball well, 5 hits in 6 innings. And he allowed just 1 earned run. But the time before that against Pittsburgh, he gave up 4 homers in 5 innings. And the Cubs have 6 left-hand batters in the lineup to face the young right-hander.
I can recall a more lefty-dominated lineup that the Cubs have floated out there this year. There are actually 5 lefties in a row at one point in the order. Three balls and 2 strikes account to Robin Jennings. Again, the Cubs with 68 wins coming in. That's what the San Francisco Giants had at the end of last year, 68 wins. And boy, did they turn it around here in 97. Down goes Jennings. Ibar fires a fastball by him. And Ryne Sandberg will be coming up. I'm sure he'll get a great ovation.
Ibar is a power pitcher, and you have to look for the hard slider and basically the hard fastball, and he just threw the fastball by him.
Ryne Sandberg savoring this moment. You would hope it might be his last at bat. We'll wait and see how Ryno wants to play it today. There's the numbers for this 97 season, his final season in what will be a Hall of Fame career. Ball and a strike to count. Ryne Sandberg right now, his lifetime fielding percentage of .989. That's the best all time of any second baseman ever to have played the game. Only second baseman ever with 9 Gold Glove awards. Can't get that one. It's 1-2.
McGwire originally signed as an undrafted free agent out of the Dominican Republic back on October 21st of 1991. He was a lot smaller and a lot lighter in those days.
Sandberg with a chopper. Luis Ordaz throws him out. 2 down in the first inning. Hopefully Ryne will hang around for another couple at bats. It's been incredible to see the outpouring of love for Ryne Sandberg, especially on the road. We knew that we were going to have our emotions played with a little bit at Wrigley, but to go into a Houston or a St. Louis and see how Ryne still is received, it's remarkable.
Even though he's really done a lot of damage to the Cardinals over the course of his career in that Cub uniform, they certainly do respect him all over baseball.
First pitch strike pumped in there to Mark Grace, and Grace, even with a .320 batting average, he will finish in the top 10 again this year.
I guess one of the questions is, will Larry Walker hit number 50 today? He's stuck on 49. He'll have a chance to do that.
Rockies play the Dodgers today in that finale. There's a strike, 1 and 2 to Grace. Well, there's never been a season with 3 50-plus home run guys. McGwire and Griffey are up there. Let's see if Walker can get there later today. He's going to finish 1, 2, 3 in the Triple Crown categories. First in homers in the league. Second in batting average, it looks like. Third in RBI. Count is full to Grace. Nobody on, 2 out, just underway here in St. Louis. '90's been a great decade for those 50 or more home run hitters. 1970s, George Foster was the only guy to have 50 or more. He had 51. Nobody did it in the 1980s, but look at all these guys in the 90s.
And bear in mind, next year the expansion year, and so that should open the door for another offensive onslaught.
Mark Grace draws the walk, which normally would bring up Sammy Sosa. Again, Sammy is not in the starting lineup today. Jim Riggleman says that is at Sammy's request, although Sosa will get probably an at bat, maybe 2 this afternoon.
Grace draws walk number 87. That's already a career high, and he far and away leads the ball club in that department. Next closest to him is 45, drawn by Sammy Sosa.
Day off for Sammy. Grant Brown takes a strike. Sosa had started all 161 games until today. That ball rifled to right to third. Gary Gaetti, who normally kills the Cubs with his bat, this time stings them with the glove, and he makes a nice play to end the first inning. It'll be DeShields, Plantier, and Mark McGwire in the bottom of the first. There's no score.
Out here, it's not the fittest who survive. It's the most prepared.
There's no law that says as you get older, you have to slow down.
Excuse me. Want to buy this Bud Light ball?
Why?
Hit it. You'll see. Nice shot.
Ooh, what do we have here?
Hole in one. Hey! I'll take it.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light, Chicago.
Where's my... I can't miss!
John Lithgow performs the Discover Card Dial-Along song.
An extemporaneous piece.
Provided for your dialing pleasure while you call 1-800-IT-PAYS-2 and apply for your Discover Card, the card with the cashback bonus award that always pays you back.
That was a nice surprise.
And that's music to everyone's ears. It pays to discover. To apply, call 1-800-IT-PAYS-2. Accepted where you see the Nova sign.
Mark McGwire getting set to bat against Steve Trachsel. The Cardinals coming up this way. Delino DeShields at the top of the order, then Phil Plantier and Mark McGwire with that Wonder Boy bat. 57 home runs for the season. Ray Lankford, Gary Gaetti, Dimitri Young, Eli Marrero, Luis Ordaz, and Manny Ibar to finish it up.
The Pepsi defense for Jim Riggleman and the Cubs. Brown, Jennings, and Kieschnick left to right in the infield. Hansen, Alexander, Sandberg, and Grace. And a battery of Tyler Houston and Steve Trachsel. He's 7-4 lifetime against St. Louis. A 3.43 ERA in 13 games. And this year, 1-1 against him in 3 starts.
The 31 home runs allowed. That's got to be very appealing to Mark McGwire, although when McGwire faced Trax back at Wrigley Field, he managed just a 1 for 3, the one on a windblown pop-up. Strike one to Delino DeShields. He's quietly put together a great year. 55 stolen bases to go with the numbers you just saw.
And the Cardinals have a $3 million option on the services of DeShields. They figure to certainly have him back next year. DeShields has always hit Trachsel very well.
Well, the whole top of this order yesterday for St. Louis. You talk about production. You're looking at 8 for 11 from the top third of the batting order yesterday. 7 runs scored, 11 runs batted in, and 4 stolen bases.
Even McGwire had a stolen base.
Cardinals stole 6 bases off Tyler Houston. Tyler's back out there today. They count 2-2 to DeShields. And he has said if he's back, he says, I will steal as many bases as McGwire hits home runs. That's his promise. Might be getting a chance to run here in just a moment. Count goes to 3-2.
DeShields has swiped 55 this year. He needs 2 more to tie McGwire.
Base hit left center for Delino DeShields. Steve Trachsel quoted earlier this year saying, everybody's hitting my good pitches. And it was suggested by one writer today, maybe he needs to throw some bad pitches if that's the case, because the ERA this year for Trachsel's been fluffed up to 4.6. Last year it was 3.03.
And Mark McGwire getting ready in the on-deck circle. And Trachsel, you know, will keep a close eye on DeShields. He's got a great move to first base. So if Delino takes some liberties, at least on the lead, he could pick him off.
Bill Plantier. Bunting, and it's foul.
It was caught by Bob Davidson, showing some good hands.
I guess the one thing that Trachsel has done very well this year, picking it up even from last year, he's striking out a lot of guys. Leads the team with 157. And the Cubs have set an all-time franchise record this year in terms of strikeouts from their pitching staff.
Well, Delino DeShields certainly has picked it up. Last year he hit 224 for a full season with the Dodgers, coming over here as a free agent. He's put together a magnificent season for St. Louis.
70-point hike, that's pretty good. That one fades away to Plantier. If DeShields has a 4 for 4 day today, he'll be a 300 hitter. And to do that after hitting in the mid-220s last year, that'll be remarkable.
Plantier doesn't run particularly well, and so this cries out for a double play situation. Maybe Riggs will use a pitch out here, trying to combat DeShields.
Speaking of Jim Riggleman, one change on his coaching staff announced before the game. If you missed it, Mako Olivares will not be coming back next year. Tom Gamboa will be joining the Major League staff. He was in the minor league system this year as a coordinator. There is a strike from Trachsel, 1-2. We certainly want to wish Mako Olivares well. Great guy and very well respected in baseball circles. I'm sure he will get another job to his liking. Good move to first, diving into Shields.
That was very close with Frank Pulley on the call. I like the audible buzz that goes through the stands when McGwire comes to bat. Pretty exciting.
He is next, right after Plantier gets done. Solid shot, one hop by Alexander. Sandberg turns it to Grace, and a nifty double play. Alexander to Sandberg, and back to Gracie at first. So McGwire will come up, trying to hit one out solo.
Pretty good play by Manny Alexander. Then Ryne Sandberg turns it easily. So for the 5th time this year, Plantier grounds into the double play. And a great hand for Mark McGwire.
You might have seen Ken Griffey Jr. inserting himself in the leadoff spot in the order a couple days ago to get an extra at bat. Mark McGwire said, "Not for me, thank you." Tony La Russa did float that idea by the slugger, but he said, "No, that's not the way I want to do it. If it happens, it happens, but I don't want any special treatment." Trachsel stays away here.
McGwire actually very happy that he has a little protection behind him. He said it's the first time it's ever happened in his career. He was protecting everybody else in Oakland. Now he's got Langford, who is a home run hitter, behind him.
Trachsel skips that one up there, and every time a Cub pitcher threw one out of the strike zone yesterday, there was booing at Busch Stadium. Looks like we're on a similar course today. One more home run by McGwire. He'll tie the all-time record for right-hand hitters. Home runs in one season. Takes, and it's 3-1. Hitters count.
Well, you have to credit McGwire. He doesn't swing at pitches out of the strike zone very often, and he did take the 3 walks yesterday. Got 2 pitches in the zone and hit them out.
Checks his swing, and he draws the walk. They react like Steve Trachsel kicked him in the head. Somebody wanted to know if McGwire corks his forearms. See the size of those things?
Just seems like it.
These look like tree trunks.
Looks a little like your waist, Josh.
Here's Ray Langford now. And yeah, it is kind of scary to think about next year. McGwire, as you said, Stoney, he's always been the protector instead of the protectee. The Oakland lineup, he was always protecting Canseco. Langford, 31 home runs, hitting behind McGwire's 57. 1-1 the count to the Cardinal center fielder.
McGwire 2 for 2 in stolen bases. But Gracie doesn't think he's a threat. He's playing behind him.
How many guys in that 57-2 club? I think it's just McGwire. Sammy Sosa, by the way, will not get that 30-30 season. He will fall short on the stolen base side of it. But 36 home runs. And he's tied a career RBI high, 119. Langford rips one to right. Base hit. McGwire stops at second.
Well, there is no doubt that Langford does give McGwire some protection. This is a forkball, and he just goes down and gets it. It's hit so hard, McGwire has to advance only to second. That leaves it up to noted Cub killer this year, Gary Gaetti. Willie McGee is not in the lineup. That's good news. He's hit everything in sight, and Willie hitting an even 300. So he'll probably be sitting on that today.
Steve Trachsel shouldn't take those numbers personally because Gaetti's done that to every Cub pitcher this year. This time the grounder to third. Vacuumed up. Dave Hansen throws across, and the inning is over. So the Cardinals with a couple of hits, a McGwire walk, but they do not score. Will play the second in St. Louis.
lots of places to take your family this summer. So why not take them someplace they actually want to go? Like McDonald's for a Spanish omelet McMuffin meal. A spicy little breakfast number with peppers and sausage. With crispy hash browns and orange juice, it's the coolest place to be on a summer day. It might even make the family road trip bearable. Well, almost.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you until
Nice car.
again. Yeah. Happy trails to you.
He's not going to make it, is he?
Cubs and Cardinals on the final day of the 1997 season. Josh Lewin with Steve Stone, and thanks so much for joining us today. And for the entire season, Cub fans hanging in there. What has been a very dismal 1997 season, but Cub fan resiliency gets proved again. Nearly 2.2 million jamming at Wrigley this year. Pretty impressive stuff. Here's Dave Hansen taking a strike. And you talk to the players, you talk to the coaching staff, you talk to everybody around the Cubs. I think everybody's just ready to turn the page on 97. We talked earlier, Stoney, about the Giants last year being stuck on 68 wins like the Cubs are right now. You make the right moves in the offseason, you got a chance to do something special.
Well, not only the offseason, but in season. That trade with the White Sox really helped put them over the top with Wilson Alvarez, Danny Darwin, Roberto Hernandez. They got Terry Mulholland. So it certainly did help them out in holding off the Dodgers.
1-2 to Hansen, called strike 3. Ibar gets his first strikeout. Giants and Padres did a flip-flop from this year to last year to this. One team was first, one team was last. And then they turned it around. The Giants will end up with the Marlins in the first round of the playoffs. And this is how Steve Stone scouts it out there at the bottom. San Francisco, the fine bullpen. But boy, Kevin Brown, that's a pretty nice advantage for Florida to have.
And Kevin Brown has just manhandled that San Francisco lineup. They've been able to do nothing with him. But the playoffs, a different animal.
Tyler Houston bangs one on the ground to short. Luis Ordaz throws him out. Well, that's got the makings of a good series. Of course, San Francisco high on emotion right now. The Dodgers too little too late there in Denver. They really did themselves in around the middle of September. But the Giants with a lot of dramatic comeback wins. Can they carry that over into the postseason? And meantime, in the other division series, you got the Houston Astros finally in the playoffs again for the first time in 11 years, facing a team that has been there quite a bit in the 1990s, Atlanta.
And the key for Houston will be to split those first 2 games in Atlanta. If they can get a split, they can be in pretty good shape. And they're sending 3 pretty good starters to the mound. They've got Kyle, Hampton, and Reynolds.
Kieschnick rips one in a right center. That's in there for a hit, and Brooks Kieschnick, though it's not a milestone that is going to be talked about a lot, he is up to a 200 batting average. That's a lot better than 195.
Well, Brooks gets one out over the plate. He likes to extend his arms. If he can get it out there, he's strong enough to be a pretty good hitter.
Doug Glanville not playing today because he's there at a 300 average. You don't think Kieschnick's coming out to protect his 200, do you? Of course, guys like Brooks wondering what's at hand this offseason. The expansion draft coming up, and the Cubs have a lot of outfield talent. Guys that were at AAA a lot this year. The Robin Jennings, Brooks Kieschnick, Pedro Valdez, Brant Brown, four-headed monster. I mean, those are some decent prospects, but can you protect all 4 of them?
No.
Manny Alexander takes, and it's 1-1. So yeah, guys like Kieschnick, Tyler Houston, Jose Hernandez, those guys will be wondering, will they be among the top 15 protected? Or will they be exposed and have a chance to go to either Tampa Bay or Arizona?
Well, the big question is, it might come down to Brant Brown and Jose Hernandez, who you're going to protect. That's a tough decision.
You saw the numbers in September for Manny Alexander. Offensively, he's turned it on. Defensively, though, erratic. And yesterday, forgetting that there wasn't a force play on at third base, cost the team a big inning. This one lifted into foul ground. McGwire and Marrero looking for it, but it's out of play. Yeah, next year among the changes, we'll see the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
And the advantage they're going to have is they've had 2 years to work on their minor league system. That's the first time an expansion club has ever had the advantage of doing that.
On 3-2 with the runner in motion. Alexander pops it to McGwire. That will be the inning. Cubs failed to score against Manny Ibar. And now the bottom of the second coming up. Cubs nothing and the Cardinals nothing.
In business, whether you're big or small, it all comes down to connecting with people. Ameritech can help with services like a private voice and data network, giving you fast and reliable connections to suppliers and customers. Or a high-speed data line, allowing you to video conference from your desktop. Ameritech understands business and has the technological expertise to make the connections that make your business work. Stick with what works. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
With all of our convenient locations, about the only thing easier than buying one of our suits is finding one of our stores.
The Men's Warehouse.
You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Low interest.
Cash back.
Low lease. You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
Yeah, if I got season tickets for you. You only reserve seats out here. You're charging skybox prices for this? It's behind the foul pole. Have a little faith here. Ooh, what do we have here? No more missing the game. No more flagging down vendors. Hey, I'll take it. Play ball.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light, Chicago.
Scram! Bad dog!
Now the 10-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glover Ryne Sandberg playing in his final game. And Jim Riggleman did not want to presuppose how it would go today, how many innings Ryne would play. He's leaving that up to Ryne. And Ryne really had nothing to say about his plans before the game. He said he'd just kind of take it as it comes today. So we'll find out just like you when Ryne Sandberg has taken the field for the last time. Dimitri Young takes the strike in the bottom of the second underway. No score. Young with a big cut and quickly drops behind 0-2. Speaking of big cuts, Albert Bell apparently has taken one, and he will not be sub-30 home runs this year. He's got number 30 today. And a former Cub, Jerome Walton, back in the lineup for Baltimore. He hits a home run today, number 2 for the season. Orioles heading into the playoffs against Seattle. As Young goes down on strike, Steve Trachsel striking out his 158th batter of the year.
This is a split finger away from Young. It just swings through it. Good pitch by Trachsel.
Now the young catcher, Eli Marrero, had a great year at AAA.
Got to be careful with Marrero up. Well, he's shown he likes to go back through the middle, especially if you keep the ball out over the plate away from him. So when you deliver the ball, you got to be ready for it to come right back to you.
Houston. Foul ground. He'll handle that. 2 down. We were talking about that Baltimore-Seattle series. How do you scope that one out, Stoney?
Well, I like the fact that you've got Randy Johnson, but you have a bad bullpen, and the bullpen for Atlanta has been just wonderful. That's their big advantage. But when you have to face Johnson twice in the series and deal with the power in that lineup, you have to give the advantage to Seattle, and they're my pick to come out of the American League and go to the World Series.
Me too. All right, who's your pick out of the National League?
My pick out of the National League is the Atlanta Braves.
I'll be different. I'll go with the Florida Marlins in a 7-game NLCS against the Braves. This had to be different. I like Seattle in that Baltimore series, too. Griffey, of course, swinging the bat extremely well. And beyond Johnson, you've got Moyer and Facero. There's Houston and Atlanta and how they match up. You like those killer bees, I know, for the Astros.
Well, it's going to get done. It'll get done with Biggio and Bagwell. Perhaps a little help from Bell.
There's a base hit by Luis Ordaz in the left field. Third hit of the afternoon for St. Louis.
And, of course, with Atlanta, you have to look at the starting pitching. That's where it all starts. Obviously, they're going to score enough runs if those starting pitchers can shut down the opposition. But if you get into that bullpen and you can get in there around the 6th or 7th inning before they can get to Wohlers, Houston can make it pretty tough on them. And remember, they've got the last 3 in their ballpark. And it's difficult for any team to win in that Astrodome, as the Cubs found out this year.
It sure did. Ibar, a former shortstop, strokes one foul. He was only a changed over 2 pitcher 4 years ago, so you figure he knows how to handle the bat a little bit.
Well, he's got a very good arm. What he has to learn, Josh, is to take something off. Right now, he's strictly a power pitcher. Hard fastball, hard slider. And that's one of the challenges for Dave Duncan, to get him an off-speed pitch during the winter.
I think one of the challenges for baseball, you were talking about the Houston-Atlanta series, find a way to reward the Atlanta Braves. They won 17 more games than the Houston Astros this year, but they've got a home field disadvantage.
Well, we're hoping they do away with the 3 out of 5 at the beginning.
Little tapper. That'll get into right for a base hit. Ordaz stops at second base. So some 2-out trouble brewing at the bottom of the lineup here. The Cardinals put 2 on for Delino DeShields.
That's the 3rd hit of the year for Ibar. Cub fans join Sammy Sosa, Mark Grace, Kevin Ory, Andre Dawson, and a host of Cub players and celebrities for the 13th Annual Cubs Convention, January 16th through the 18th. At the Chicago Hilton Tower, sponsored by Pepsi. Take part in autograph and photo sessions, baseball clinics, seminars, and much more. For hotel reservations, call the Hilton at 312-922-4400, or for more information, call 773-404-CUBS.
2 on, 2 out, and Delino DeShields getting closer to a 300 batting average. And he has dominated Steve Trachsel, 13 for 28 against him in his career.
Well, there was some hot and heavy recruiting by Cincinnati and St. Louis for the services of DeShields. St. Louis won out. St. Louis also a couple of years ago went very hard after both Craig Biggio and Mark Grace. And had Biggio signed with St. Louis, it was speculated Grace would have come here also. When Biggio went back to Houston, Grace went back to the Cubs. And, of course, the Cubs are very happy that it worked out that way. So is Houston.
3 balls and no strikes to DeShields. Yeah, Mark Grace, a lot of speculation. Will he be back? A lot of folks saying that maybe you could trade Mark Grace. I know a lot of Cub fans say, don't even think about it. DeShields, a ground ball to Sandberg. Throws to Grace, and that'll do it. 2 men stranded again for the Cardinals. They've left 4 on through 2 innings, and will play the 3rd. Sandberg due up in the inning. No score.
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
It has everything, all the bells and whistles.
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
excellent product for a good price.
Live well. I want it all.
Dear Gussie, there's only one thing missing. Every last drop of Pepsi. Any ideas? Yeah, I'm working on it. I think the fat one knows.
Pepsi. Generation Next.
Low interest.
Cash back.
Low lease. You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
Cubs fans, now you can show off your pride with merchandise from the official Cubs gift catalog, like official Cubs jackets, jerseys, shirts, and hats. To get your free copy of the Cubs gift catalog, visit the Cubs website at www.cubs.com or call 773-404-CUBS.
There's Margaret Sandberg, Ryne's wife, the dark-haired beauty with the sunglasses on right there in the middle of the screen. And back to Arizona after this game is over. Ryne Sandberg, Margaret Sandberg will, I guess, have some time now to watch the kids play some ball, help them with their homework and all that fun stuff.
But around spring training, even though you have retired, your body doesn't know it, and Rhino's going to get the itch to do something, and hopefully he'll wind up back in the game.
It was that very itch that drove him back into baseball the first time that he announced his retirement. Of course, that didn't last nearly as long as he thought it would. Trachsel sends one to the shortstop. Nice pick by Ordaz. He fires a pellet across to McGwire to get Trachsel.
Kids, call 1-888-Cubs fan and become a member of the Halo Chicago Cubs Kids Club and join and receive an official membership card along with Cubs caps, sunglasses, calculator, notebook, pen, 2 tickets to a future Cubs game, and much more. That's the Halo Chicago Cubs Kids Club at 1-888-Cubs fan. Call and join today.
Robin Jennings getting set to step in there for the Cubs. And Stoney, we've gone through every playoff matchup so far except for one. It's, I think, the one that has potential to be the most even and the most interesting. The Indians and the Yankees, they played during the regular season, and one team outscored the other 71-70. That's pretty even.
Indians have got to find some way to get that pitching staff back on track, because it's been the pitching staff that kept the White Sox and Milwaukee close all year. The Yankees, well, they have been there, and they have the experience, and if they have David Cohn healthy, it's going to be tough for the Indians.
All right, so let's go on record here. I know you like the Braves.
I like the Yankees to beat Cleveland.
Okay.
And then I like Seattle to beat the Yankees.
Well, Seattle hitting, what, 264 home runs now. Major League record for the regular season. I, like you, like Seattle coming out of the American League. I'll take, who are you taking, the Yankees in the Indian series?
I like the Yankees.
I'll take the Indians.
Okay.
Just want to be that way, you know?
We can bet a dinner for next year. I, of course, will take you to a fancy restaurant, and you can make your plans for Burger King if I win.
Now, why do you think I'd just take you there? Jennings smokes one into center field. Langford back fourth. There is the second out. I'll take better care of you than that. I'll take you to one of your restaurants.
Thank you. Who do you like in the MVP?
National League? Larry Walker.
National League. Larry Walker.
Larry Walker.
I feel the same way. With probably Mike Piazza a close second.
That's how I would do it, too.
Bagwell and Biggio getting some consideration. Rhino getting his second at bat. He rolled out his first time.
This has a chance to be Rhino's last at bat. Conjecture is he will not play the entire game, but again, what's up in the air is whether he will have 2 at-bats, 3 at-bats today. That's what everybody's talking about. Sandberg and McGwire this afternoon. Saying goodbye to a lot of special players this year. Eddie Murray probably will be playing his last year. Lee Smith, Brett Butler, Terry Pendleton,
Greg Gagne, probably.
Ryne Sandberg is probably, now, I mean, no offense to the other guys on that list, but obviously in Chicago, this is the guy they're focusing on.
And it'll be interesting because 5 years from the date of retirement for both Eddie Murray and Ryne Sandberg, they will be voted on together for the Hall of Fame. And Eddie's numbers are just staggering. One of the most powerful switch hitters in the history of the game. I got to believe next year, however, Don Sutton has got to go into the Hall of Fame. 324 wins. You would think that next year would be his year.
I just hope it's the year for Santa. Sandberg punches one foul. You and I have talked about it off and on, but Santo and Sutton, I think we agree, are 1-2 on the all-time snub list as of right now for the Hall of Fame.
No doubt about that, and hopefully Ronnie will be able to get voted in before he moves to the Old Timers Committee. I'm sure that if he's not voted in by the sports writers, when he does move to the Old Timers Committee, they will definitely put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
2 balls, 2 strikes to count to Sandberg. I think you ask most Cub fans, they say that should have happened 10 years ago. Ronnie getting in there, but hopefully Ryne Sandberg will be a first ballot guy. He has certainly got the statistical fodder for that to happen. This one punched in the air to center, and it sends Langford back. At the wall, he has got it. Boy, Rhino gave it a rip. That would have been a memorable way to end the Hall of Fame career. Langford catches up to it at the Budweiser sign. We will go to the bottom of the third. There's still no score.
Dish with the girls.
I'm going to go call the psychic hotline. They'll know what to do.
On Living Single.
Tell Latoya I said what's up.
Weeknights at 6:30.
Inside the cage, there's one rule. Come strong, or don't come at all.
Where you always say, Marvin, feast your eyes on it. Hey, huh? Only one owner, low mileage, and best of all, ooh, what do we have here?
Bud Light.
We'll take it! Hey, it's a deal!
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light, Chicago.
Ooh, what do we have here? Where you always make more money.
Join Honorary Chairman Harry Carey, Sammy Sosa, Mark Grace, Andre Dawson, and a host of Cubs players and coaches for the 13th Annual Cubs Convention, January 16th through the 18th at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, sponsored by Pepsi Cola. Enjoy autograph and photo sessions, hitting and pitching clinics, special events just for kids, and much more. It's the greatest off-season event in all of baseball. For more information, call the Cubs Convention hotline at 773-404-CUBS.
This portion of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by the Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary.
Well, as we get to the bottom of the third, Miguel Cairo is coming onto the field, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen, for Ryne Sandberg. His last at-bat was a deep fly ball you just saw to center field. Ryne Sandberg's career is now over. Standing ovation now here in St. Louis. Appropriately, Rhino ending his career against a team against which he's had so much success. Those will be the final numbers. And he comes out and he doffs his cap, Ryne Sandberg. We'll miss you, Rhino. And as expected, he does hang out there today for just a couple at bats. The trivia question can now be answered. Who was the last guy ever to face him? Manny Ibar. The last at bat is a very deep fly ball, appropriately enough, in front of the Budweiser sign up there in left center. And the other trivia question that will be asked and now answered, Miguel Cairo is a man that took his place, if only for today. Bill Plantier lofts one in the air to left. There's Brand Brown, and now the fans will stand and cheer again, not because of what just happened there, but because of what might happen right now. Mark McGwire is coming up. '57 home runs. And right now, he is alone at 57. Of course, he'd have company at 58. Babe Ruth has had a 59 and a 60.
And with every pitch out of the strike zone, the fans here in St. Louis booing Steve Trachsel, who, by the way, folks, is trying to get the ball over the plate.
Drops one in on the inside corner. It's 1-1 to big Mark McGwire. There's where McGwire is in the rankings right now. Still a couple more at-bats to go for him. Up over top of that one, it's 1-2.
And still the only man in the history of the game to hit at least 20 home runs in both leagues in the same season.
One and two, and here comes. Strike three, he took it. It was a real nice pitch. Now McGwire yesterday, nothing but walks and homers. Today, a walk and a strikeout. And let's quickly pause for station identification.
This is WGN-TV, Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
With Steve Stone and producer-director Arnie Harris, Josh Lewin in St. Louis. We appreciate you joining us for this, the final game of the 1997 season. And I hope you are, as we are, looking forward to 98. Not a lot of fun to look back. The rearview mirror, I want to take a sledgehammer to that sucker. Looking back, no fun here in 97, but everybody's hoping 98 will be exciting. Harry's coming back. And Ryne Sandberg, of course, will not be back. We have seen his last at-bat just a few minutes ago. Trachsel to Langford, and it's 2-1. And that's what the offseason is going to be all about, trying to figure out who else is in and out of the Cub plans.
Well, you have to fill a few holes, and you have to change things around, and I'm sure that the Cub brass doesn't have to be reminded that in this day and age of free agency and drafts, you can go from worst to first rather easily. And they need look no further than way out west to see the San Francisco Giants and what they did with a remake of their ball club, anchored with one powerful home run hitter. They added Jeff Kent. They couldn't have figured he'd drive in 120, but drive them in he did. And anchored by Barry Bonds, they will go on to the postseason.
On 3-2, Langford, and this ball smothered by Cairo. Great play, and he throws him out. So the Cardinals down in order, an inning that saw McGwire strike out. Also an inning that started in the top of the third with Ryne Sandberg playing for his last time. At the end of 3, no score.
Freno's getting written up by the principal.
That's F-R-E-N-O. Make sure you don't put 2 N's in it. My mom would have a fit.
Tonight at 6 on WGN. More low fares, more possibilities. On Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you.
Nice car.
He's not going to make it, is he?
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
He has everything, all the bells and whistles.
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
Excellent product for a good price.
Just like live well. Boys, I want it all.
First time all year, Sammy Sosa's not in the starting lineup. Jim Riggleman has said he will get an at-bat or two at some point in the game today. First, Mark Grace, he takes up and away. Manny Ibar looking pretty good so far. Has allowed just one hit. That was to Brooks Kieschnick in the second inning.
Ibar not used to going too deep into ball games. 11 starts, 62 innings, so he's averaged 5+ innings per start.
Grace rockets one to left, but there's Plantier. He's got it.
Treat yourself or your favorite Cub fan to Vine Line. The Cubs monthly newspaper, Vine Line, provides a year-round package of Cubs coverage for fans nationwide. Subscription rates start at just $19.95. All 2-year subscribers receive a free photo of their name in lights on Wrigley Field's marquee. Call 773-404-CUBS to order. That's 773-404-CUBS.
Brand Brown steps in, and he wanted to say hello to all of his friends and family back in Porterville, California. Says, I'll be home in a week. So I guess they're getting ready. Got the parade route all mapped out. Very proud man of his hometown is Brand Brown. The Nissan trivia question. Last pitcher to lead his league in wins while pitching for a last-place team.
I'll say Steve Carlton in 72.
72, yeah.
There might have been somebody before that, but I'll stick with Carlton. I'd be wrong, of course, but...
Well, Kurt Schilling had a shot this year for a while. Brown with a rip, and he's down on strikes. Did it say National League or American League? Or both? Just National? Yeah. Well, I pass. Carlton's the only one I can think of. That 72 season. How's that for wimping out?
In character, certainly, but...
2 balls, no strikes to Dave Hansen here. We were talking about surprises, Stoney. You mentioned Jeff Kent. Another Jeff Shaw with Cincinnati.
It's really just a phenomenon. 42 saves for a guy that was worried about holds last year for Jeff Brantley. When Brantley went down to arm surgery, Shaw was pressed into service and saved 42 games. That's a miraculous season.
Ball 4. Dave Hansen is on with a 2-out walk. Shaw's at the top of the list. The Cardinals' Dennis Eckersley has blown a bunch of saves this year, but still has 36 up there on the tote board. Rod Beck is 37th yesterday.
How about Randall Kirk Myers over in the other league?
What is he, 43 for 44, something like that?
I think 44 for 45, maybe? Something in that neighborhood. I know he's just missed one opportunity.
Well, what's interesting with the San Francisco situation, they've got Beck and Hernandez both as free agents. They're not going to re-sign both of them. So somebody's going to be out there and available. Which one it is, obviously, we don't know yet.
How about the comeback player of the year? That's something to think about that I haven't spent too much time on.
Well, it depends on where your starting point is. I mean, Kevin Tappaney's got my vote. If you say that he didn't pitch all year, then suddenly at the end of July went 9-3 the rest of the way. If that can qualify, I give it to Tappaney. Pop-up by Tyler Houston, and we'll pick up on this point. Assuming this pop-up is caught, and it is, we'll pick it up in the bottom of the 4th inning, with the Cubs and the Cardinals still looking for a run. No score in St. Louis.
Cancer has changed my life. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia and told that I had little chance of survival. This is Mary Beth. She was one of my nurses. Dr. Sif was with me during the hardest time, which was my bone marrow transplant.
I can't believe you have long hair.
This is Marilyn. She was my social worker and also an incredibly special person to me. It makes me feel good to know that so many people cared about me and still care about me today.
Watch Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Weekdays at 4:30 on WGN Channel 9.
Budweiser withstood the test of time. It has over 120-year heritage. That heritage is there for one simple reason. Because of the people behind the brand Budweiser, and most importantly, because quality was never compromised. Beer is like a food, and just like any natural food with no additives and preservatives, fresh food does indeed taste better. A beer is the best it will ever be when it leaves the brewery. You can look exactly at how fresh Budweiser is through our born-on dating system. It tells you when that product was made and how fresh that product is in the marketplace. There's a lot of pride and tradition in the beer business, and that's what we're about. We're about people, about families, and about selling the highest quality beer products in the world.
Cubs and the Cardinals into the bottom of the 4th inning. Josh Lewin with Steve Stone. As the Cubs put a capper on this 1997 season. We were talking about the comeback player of the year candidates. Who do you like?
Jeff Blauser would be my guy. He played 83 games last year, was injured a good portion of the season, and came back to hit over 300 this year and was hitting 350 or 360 for most of the year. So I would think that that would be the guy.
Here's Gary Gaetti, and he has been the guy against the Chicago Cubs all year. This is a fellow who once considered signing as a free agent with the Cubs several years ago. Takes a rip at this one, and he fouls it. The Nissan trivia question. Got to get this thing answered. The last pitcher to lead his league in wins while pitching for a last-place team. No, we should have got that. Sutt in '87. He led with 18. I guess he did.
And the Cubs were indeed last that year, even though Andre Dawson had a magnificent offensive year.
So you got the MVP and you got the league leader in wins that year, and they still finished last.
He was second in the Cy Young Award voting, I believe, that year.
10 years ago. And, well, forward 10 years from there, the Cubs will again finish last. Unfortunately, the personal accolades are not going to be there for a lot of these guys. Gaetti punches one foul. You look around at the league leaders, and really Sammy Sosa's name is the one that pops up, if at all. Sammy's going to finish, well, depending on whether or not he gets in there today. I thought for sure he was going to finish top 5 in RBI. Right now he's slipped to number 6 at 119 because Mike Piazza's gone off the last week or so. Look at that, Mike Remlinger, former Dartmouth Big Green, got a no-hitter through 6.
Dartmouth has sent a few players to the major leagues for a relatively small school.
Brad Osmus is one of them, and boy, did he destroy the Cubs the other night. Gaetti to the opposite field. And circling back on it, Brooks Kieschnick finds it for the out, 1 away.
Remember Pete Broberg?
Was he a Dartmouth Big Green, too?
Yeah, a hard-throwing right-hander. A guy named Chuck Seelbach out of Cleveland, Ohio, another hard-throwing right-hander who played a bit for Detroit.
in them thar hills up in New England.
Well, are we of one mind that it'll be Rolen and Garcia Perez the rookies of the year?
Yes. My mind is your mind. Barney Harris is completely shocked that we're together on something. And I mean, I can't fight you on that. Garcia Parra's got to get a sweep in the American League. I mean, who would vote for anybody else? Who else could get voted for?
Arnie's still voting for Dave Rosello. One-time Cub infielder.
Jason Dixon, I guess, for a while, might have been able to finagle a couple of votes, but he faded, and Nomar Garciaparra never did. 1-2 the count to Dimitri Young. Scoreless game here.
Well, when you have well over 200 hits and you have over 30 home runs or 30 home runs, I would say that qualifies as Rookie of the Year material.
Young taps it to Cairo. Again, Ryne Sandberg out of the game, finishing his career with an 0 for 2 afternoon. Are we also agreed that the Cy Young Award stays north of the border? I've got Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez from the Jays and the Expos.
Well, Roger Clemens, I think, is in pretty good shape for that. Although Randy Johnson will get some consideration.
Got his 20th win yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Here's Eli Marrero. And Trachsel pumps in a strike, 0-1. Johnson ended with 20 wins. Jamie Moyer had a shot for 18. He was beaten by a former teammate of his, Mike Oquist, his last start. So he ends up 17-5. That's still a pretty impressive year for a former Cub.
Well, opponent's batting average against, and we talk always about Pedro Martinez under 200. Randy Johnson is 194.
Wow.
Of course, Roger Clemens at 213 is in pretty good shape in that department.
I believe Clemens is getting a start today. Clemens is 21-7, facing his former team today, the Boston Red Sox. This ball hammered in a right. Eli Marrero has a base hit. That's 5 hits for the Cardinals. They have stranded 4 runners already today. Luis Ordaz will be the batter. There are the 2 boss men, Jim Riggleman, one-time Cardinal coach. He, of course, the Cub manager, Tony La Russa, who has been a manager of the year. He's on the right. La Russa will not be manager of the year this year, not after making the guarantee that his team would finish 1st. They will finish 4th.
Well, Tony had an option to leave this ball club. That's the way his contract was so written, but he has decided to forego that, and he will stay right here in St. Louis.
That leads us, I guess, to our final category on Celebrity Jeopardy today.
Manager of the Year.
Manager of the Year for 400, Alex.
Hands down, Dusty Baker. With little consideration for Gene Lamont.
And Larry Dierker, 3rd.
Larry Dierker a distant 3rd, I think.
I've got a soft spot for those former players/broadcast types. Alexander gets it over to second base. The inning is over on the fielder's choice. No runs and a hit, no errors, 1 left. We'll play the 5th and a fast mover. No score.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
Dish with the girls.
I'm going to go call the psychic hotline. They'll know what to do.
On Living Single.
Tell Latoya I said what's up.
Weeknights at 6:30.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you.
Nice car.
He's not going to make it, is he?
There's lots of places to take your family this summer. So why not take them someplace they actually want to go, like McDonald's? for a McRib Extra Value Meal, a tangy McRib sandwich, ice-cold Minute Maid lemonade, and a large order of America's favorite fries. It's the coolest place to be on a summer day. It might even make the family road trip bearable. Well, almost.
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
He has everything, all the bells and whistles. And
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
Excellent product for a good price.
Shop smart, live well, boys.
I want it all.
Cub fans making the trip here to St. Louis for the weekend. Right now, the Cubs and Cardinals so far have split the two games, and this would be the rubber game. It is also, of course, the final game of 1997. Here's Kieschnick. And Ibar is behind him 1-0. Kieschnick has the only Cub hit of the afternoon. Strike on the outside corner. If you missed it, Ryne Sandberg 0 for 2, then took himself out of the game in the bottom of the third. His final at bat was a deep fly ball to center. Big rip there for Kieschnick. He's down on the count 1-2.
He just missed on his final at bat, hitting it out of the ballpark, but it's pretty deep in left center field, about 400 feet. Then he came up a couple of feet short.
Too bad we're not at Wrigley. That would have been in the bleachers to end his career. Kieschnick lofting this one to left. Plantier in pursuit into the corner. He's got it. Wind is blowing out a little bit today, and the forecast is for it to get windier as the afternoon goes on. If the flag keeps pointing out, that bodes well for Mark McGwire. He'll have another couple at bats today.
I don't think he's too concerned about which way the wind is blowing, especially here in St. Louis, where the field sits down actually below street level. Wind doesn't affect it all that much, and when Mark hits him, it really doesn't matter anyway.
500-foot home runs this season. That's 500 or more. I mean, that's almost as far as the arch is tall. And they say the average McGwire home run this year has gone about 430 feet. So the old cliche about he's hit that ball a mile, he's hit the ball 4.5 miles this season. Alexander takes, it's 2-1. I get the sense that McGwire is going to be relieved in a way when this season is over, dealing with all the questions every day. Are you going to catch him? Is your hair falling out? How you doing? Everything okay? But he is a very gracious guy. Seems to handle that very well.
I think he's done a nice job with all of the pressure, trying to tell the folks to talk to some of the other guys on this team.
Well, this weekend, he was instructing everybody to go talk to Ryne Sandberg. You said Rhino's the story this weekend, not me. Alexander, little poked ball heading towards the right field line. It is just foul. And Frank Pulley running out there to make sure everybody knows it. In a very forgettable 1997 season, this last weekend certainly has had its drama and emotion between McGwire and Sandberg. The interesting little subplot the other day with Jim Riggleman and Sammy Sosa yelling at each other in the dugout.
I think Jim might be trying to set the trend for next year. And the fact that personal numbers are good, and there's no doubt that this game is built on personal numbers, but the team concept, first and foremost, is what you have to look for, and I think Jim was trying to convey that to Sammy in a not too subtle way.
Alexander could not restrain himself there. He's down on strikes.
Good hard slider by Ibar, and he's shown pretty good stuff today. This one bending low and away. Manny cannot check his swing. Bob Davidson rings him up, and I would assume last day of the season, anything close, and you're on the bench.
Trachsel bounced out in the third. 0 for 1, and now 6 out of 59 for the year, but he's got 3 doubles. And he's got a base hit. Rips it right over shortstop. Steve Trachsel, who, by the way, is also working on a shutout this afternoon. Be nice to see Trax get that 9th win of the year. Kevin Tappaney was able to get that the other night. Well, Traxel's going to have to face Mark McGwire. Maybe next inning.
Mark saying, you going to lay one in for me? Steve says probably not.
At least not on purpose.
Well, I'm moving back here. If you want to steal second base, get yourself tired out a little bit, go ahead.
Trachsel knows his history. He says, I don't want to be Tracy Stallard Part 2. I don't want to be the guy that's remembered for giving up a record-breaking home run. The pressure's off there. Unless this game goes 53 innings, I think he's going to be okay. 57 home runs for McGwire. Well, he finished 4 shy of the all-time record, or 3, or 2. Robin Jennings ahead in the count, 2 balls to strike. We are scoreless here in the 5th inning, last day of the year. For the baseball season, anyway. This is, of course, September 28th.
A few more days left in the year.
I'd say we've got about 100 of them, matter of fact. And here's Jennings cranking one to left center. Bill Plantier under it, ends the inning. The Cubs still have not scored against Manny Ibar. Trachsel will face Ibar, then to Shields, Plantier, and potentially McGwire as we go to the bottom of inning 5.
Tom's a single dad ready to give dating a spin.
Here's the key to my van.
The Tom Show, tonight at 8 on WGN.
This portion of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by the Sports Authority.
On today's Discover Card Payback Playback, Mark McGwire went deep twice yesterday, giving him 57 this year and placing him 6th on the all-time single-season list.
And McGwire today, a walk and a strikeout, so it's 57 and a holding. Cardinals up in the bottom of the 5th with Manny Ibar, the pitcher, former shortstop. And he bunts back to the screen. It's 0-1. By the way, the Mike Remlinger no-hit bid is over. Jose Vidro has a base hit now for Montreal. Cincinnati still leading, though, 10-zip. Breaking pitch from Trachsel in there to make it 0-2. Rockies leading the Dodgers 2-0 in the 2nd inning. The Dodgers, of course, out of it as of yesterday, and the Giants setting off what looked like a pretty intense celebration yesterday with a win. Sellout crowd there, or close to it, in San Francisco. Saw Brian Sabian with a comment after the game, admonishing his fans. He said, "What took you guys so long?" I was there for a San Francisco-Houston game earlier this month. I mean, both those teams very much in the race. They had 9,000 people there. Ibar almost twisting himself up into a pretzel as he's down on strikes. Trachsel has 3 strikeouts this afternoon.
Tonight on WGN, don't miss the 2 latest shows to hit the Sunday night WB. At 8, Tom Arnold is back in his new comedy, The Tom Show. Then at 8:30, Carol Leifer stars in her latest All Right Already. 2 new shows, and the comedy keeps coming. Don't miss the WB on WGN Channel 9.
The Shields takes a strike. That was fun. Tom Arnold coming up in the booth with you and Harry the other day.
That was very nice.
Pretty good guy in person. I got to get him a glass of water. It's one of the highlights of my my broadcast career.
Very kind of you.
Well, he asked for it, and
it's the least you could do.
That's what I felt. Here's the Shields down to the count 0-2. So yeah, check that out. And We'd love to tell you when to check out opening day 1998 here on WGN, but the schedule, of course, is not out yet.
Except nobody knows just exactly where anybody's going to be playing quite yet.
That's one of these small problems right now. They're saying that by mid-October, realignment should be set. Of course, we've been hearing that for a while. That one outside, 2-2. At the very least, thank goodness, it looks as though the radical realignment plan is dead.
So that proposed division of Philadelphia, Oakland, the Cubs, Kansas City, and Minnesota is going by the board.
Look at Alexander spinning. Great play, but safe to call it first. Frank Foley says DeShields is safe with his second hit of the day.
Manny Alexander looks almost like a break dancer as he goes down to get this one, then turns a complete circle and comes up throwing. Off that knee, gets it there seemingly in time, but Frank Foley says no. Looked like a spectacular play, and it looked like he was out by a half step at first.
That's because he was. Come on.
And Manny, you had him.
Bill Plantier, the batter. And DeShields on the move. Nice throw. And Houston pegs him. Delino DeShields is out stealing, or attempting to do so.
Well, that was a delayed steal, and it didn't fool anybody. DeShields took off a little bit later, and you see Tyler Houston comes up firing. Manny Alexander is there, and he puts the tag on.
There is
some part of his anatomy he put the tag on.
There's a light rain starting to fall now here in St. Louis. Strike to Plantier makes it 1-1. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yes, it was.
It was
scheduled to be light rain. Nothing that will affect the ball game.
Plantier, hot shot. Alexander grabs it on one short hop. And across it goes, denying McGwire a chance to hit in this inning. He'll be up in the 6th. So will the Cubs. Cairo in for Sandberg to lead it off after this.
So, you want to see my Discover Card statement? I am very, very prissy. What up, I love to be pampered. I go have my hair done. I love to go have my nails done, have pedicures, manicures. My biggest weakness would have to be shoes. Cashback bonus award really floats my boat.
How many credit cards make a statement like that?
I am definitely a shopaholic.
It pays to Discover. Use it where you see the Novus sign.
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
He has everything, all the bells and whistles. And
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
Excellent product for a good price.
Shop smart, live well, boys. I want it all.
Join Honorary Chairman Harry Carey, Sammy Sosa, Mark Grace, Andre Dawson, and a host of Cubs players and coaches for the 13th Annual Cubs Convention, January 16th through the 18th at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, sponsored by Pepsi Cola. Enjoy autograph and photo sessions, hitting and pitching clinics, special events just for kids, and much more. It's the greatest off-season event in all of baseball. For more information, call the Cubs Convention hotline at 773-404-CUBS.
This copyright telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private and non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is strictly prohibited.
Into the 6th inning, and now soggy St. Louis. Miguel Cairo in the air to left field for Phil Plantier. One out. Rain picking up a little bit as we get going. Mark Grace will be coming to the plate.
What happened to that weather forecast you were talking about?
Mine ended up being absolutely wrong. Yours ended up being right. Even the weather forecasts that we watch tend to favor you.
You're supposed to get the forecast for St. Louis, not Memphis.
Oh. Where's Skilling when you need him? These local guys. Oh, boy. Well, you obviously saw the right forecast. My guy said a day just like yesterday, sunny, beautiful, might get a little windy later.
I saw the one that said rain about the beginning of the 6th inning.
Show off. Mark Grace with a count of 1 ball, 1 strike on him. Brad Brown on deck. Grace came in with a .320 batting average. It's now .319 after a fly out in the 4th inning. Count goes to 3-1. Looks like Gracie will be the number 6 overall hitter in the National League.
You know, he'd like to get at least 1 hit today to keep that batting average up over .320. It just looks a little better.
This one's going to end up foul. Grace, you know, would like to get to 80 runs batted in as well, but you look back to Mark Grace's most memorable season of 1989. He only had 79 runs batted in that year. That led the Cubs. But of course, they went on into the National League Championship Series against the Giants. Here's ground ball to first. And McGwire grabs it in foul ground. That 89 team did so many other things well. Don Zimmer had a career year managing. Seemed like everything he did was perfect.
And probably the most memorable part of that year was twice with Grace up, bases loaded, hitting runs, and they both worked. And anytime you can do that, you know you've got it going.
It's when you're in the managerial zone. Grace on base, so to speak, with a walk. Career high in those for him this year. Well, that 89 team, I mean, if you want to think about some of the things that have gone wrong this year that went right in 89. I mean, the great production off the bench. We have seen some of that this year with Dave Hansen and Dave Clark. Of course, it was Dwight Smith and McClendon and those guys in 89.
Well, it was also Jerome Walton as a Rookie of the Year and Dwight Smith, number 2 in the balloting. So a couple of young guys certainly came through for the Cubs.
Van Brown rips one into right field, base hit, and Grace will rumble around second. He'll dig for third. And Grace is in there. Runners at the corners for the Cubs, just 1 out.
Well, this is about the time when you'd expect Manny Ibar to start getting a little tired. He's averaged just into the 6th inning, and now with runners at the corners and only 1 out, the bullpen is indeed up and going. Lefty loosening up in the pen.
I think that's going to be Lance Painter. Yep. Now the best scoring chance for the Cubs here. 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and Dave Hansen. He's walked and struck out. He's hitting .313. And the bunt. This is going to get the run in. Fantastic. The 3rd suicide squeeze that the Cubs have pulled off this year. That shades of 89. Get something like that to work for you. Cubs have a 1-0 lead in the 6th inning.
Good timing on the part of Mark Grace at 3rd base, because Ibar was already into his motion before Grace started coming down the line, and then it's a perfect bunt by Hansen. Driving in his 21st run, the Cubs have the lead. And great execution on the part of Hansen, and a great timing on the part of Mark Grace.
That's the 2nd suicide squeeze RBI this year for Hansen. Scott Service has one as well. Now Tyler Houston. He's ahead in the count, 1-0. Two balls and no strikes account as Painter continues to get loose in the bullpen for St. Louis. Cubs trying to finish up within 3 games of this St. Louis Cardinal team. Houston rams one into center. Back goes Langford. Under it, and that's the inning. But the suicide squeeze brings home the first run of the day. Mark McGwire to lead off for St. Louis now. We're heading to the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 Cubs.
Tom's a single dad ready to give dating a spin.
Here's the key to my van.
The Tom Show, tonight at 8 on WGN.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car.
Mr. Simons,
Happy trails to you until
Nice car.
again. Happy trails.
He's not going to make it, is he?
Adolphus Busch went to Germany every summer and spent 2 to 3 months touring the hop fields and the fields where the barley is grown in Europe and looking at different breweries. And he wrote a series of letters back to his son. September the 20th, 1897. I would advise that we buy the finest growths of barley as soon as we can. We cannot make fine malt from inferior barley. And we cannot make fine beer from inferior malt. Adolphus Busch to August A. Busch Sr., September the 20th, 1897.
Today's Ameritech Playbook, your link to better communication. Miguel Cairo coming in for Ryne Sandberg at second, and he makes his presence felt immediately. A fine play to his right, makes the throw, and gets him out. And that is your Ameritech Playbook.
And this is Mark McGwire leading off in the bottom of the sixth. 57 home runs, looking for 58. Hit it here, we'll drop the beer. That's a nice thought. Getting inventive with the signs out there in left field. As McGwire rips one foul.
John Frascatore loosening up in the bullpen. I would think that Tony La Russa would be very happy to get what he got out of Manny Ibar. 6 innings, 3 hits, just 1 run.
Foul ball, 2 strikes to Mark McGwire, and well, you dial up the matchup. Trachsel against McGwire. Nobody's hit more home runs this year than McGwire. Nobody's allowed more home runs in the National League than Steve Trachsel. However, Trachsel has faced McGwire 5 times. McGwire has not hit one out.
You can get him with some high heat right here. You can throw that right by him.
Off speed, hammered to center field. It's got a chance. It is number 58.
That ties Jimmy Fox and Hank Greenberg for the all-time record by a right-hand hitter. And Trachsel on an 0-2 pitch, instead of going to a high fastball, went to a curveball. And Mark McGwire put a charge into it to straightaway center.
The fans are standing. They're chanting. They want the curtain call from McGwire. He is there. He is at number 58. And joins Greenberg and Fox. There we go. 3 right-handed hitters have hit 58 home runs in a year now. Mark McGwire joins very select company. And Trachsel had him 0-2.
And there was not much doubt about that one. Jennings went back to the wall, but he took it way back into center field, about halfway up that hitting back round. At 414 feet, the play by Trachsel, an easy one. And we'll take a couple of looks at a historic home run. It's an 0-2 curveball. McGwire goes down and gets it, and he's got a pretty good idea that it's out of the ballpark. And watch the reaction of Mark McGwire when he realizes that it is indeed number 58. Watch it again. The curveball down. See you later.
Robin Jennings got to stand and admire it as it went out. onto the greenery out there. Some fan went out there and retrieved that ball, which will now have some value, you figure. Remember tonight on WGN, what's coming up for you? We'll show you that list again in a moment, where Mark McGwire has now positioned himself.
Pretty select company for Mark McGwire.
Now Gaetti all the way ahead, 3 balls and no strikes.
And you know Gary has a 3-0 green light, so you certainly want to be careful here.
Well, there has been 159 home run season. Babe Ruth doing that in the 20s. Gary Gaetti is on board, so that's what's next for McGwire. He'll have at least another at-bat and see if he can match the 1921 season of Ruth. I guess that's called closing with a finish. He's got 3 home runs of the last 4 official at-bats that he's had in this series. 3 homers and a strikeout. He's also been walked 4 times.
Well, that wouldn't necessarily be considered a bad pitch, but McGwire loves the ball down, and he just golfed it out of the park.
Now Dimitri Young, he's 0 for 2. So we're tied at 1. Some history from Mark McGwire. This ball bashed foul over towards the Cub dugout. Now 123 runs batted in for McGwire, also a pretty good year.
I think what's even more amazing is McGwire's played 51 games now for St. Louis, and in 51 games he's hit 24 home runs. Pencil that over an entire season, and that's well over 70 home runs.
Well, McGwire has now scored 38 runs as a Cardinal, but 24 of those have been when he has hit a home run. That's another remarkable thing about McGwire. Actually, if you add up what he's done with Oakland as well, he has only 30 runs scored this year that have not come on his own home runs. Ground ball to third. Let's see if the Cubs can turn 2. Cairo unloads, and they got him. Dimitri Young doubled up, and the inning ends. The McGwire home run, number 58 for him. We're now tied at 1 at the end of 6.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Pepsi. Generation Next.
If you have a phone in your home, you can use it anytime it's on. Freeway calling from Ameritech. Just pay when you use it. Click, dial, click. Just click, dial, click. Rearrange your carpool or just plan a soiree. Click, dial, click. One call, 3 friends, you're on your way. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
Get ready for the hottest event of the summer. It's GMC Red Letter Days, the summer clearance event. And it's going on right now at your GMC dealers with the best values of the year. Like $12.50 cash back or 2.9% APR GMAC financing on Sonoma. Or how about a sizzling $1,500 cash back or 2.9% financing on Jimmy. Even 5.9% financing for up to 60 months on Sierra. Red hot deals during Red Letter Days, the sizzling summer clearance at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana GMC dealers now.
On an all-new Parenthood, Zari has found Mr. Right.
Aren't I light on my feet?
Those aren't your feet, those are mine.
Tonight at 6:30 on WGN.
Low interest.
Cash back.
Low lease.
You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
New pitcher comes on for St. Louis as we move to the 7th inning. John Frascatore in a 1-1 game.
Pescatore at 5-2, a fine ERA of 2.51 on for the 59th time. 79 innings. He spanned 58, walked 33, and given up 5 home runs. And the game is squarely in his hands. Ibar off the hook in a 1-1 tie. And that one Cardinal run courtesy of Mark McGwire.
Well, the 2 runs scored in the 6th inning. They couldn't have scored in more divergent ways. The Cubs getting theirs on a suicide squeeze bunt. Cardinals getting theirs on the mammoth home run by Mark McGwire. 414 feet, dead central.
And I believe that's the Cubs' 185th home run given up. That's an all-time record for them this year. So it is a year of records. That one you just as soon not have, but
you can throw that one
back.
Throw that one back, please. Well, the pitching staff has set a record for the most strikeouts in a single season, so that's the positive stat. But yeah, 185 home runs allowed, and the team has only hit, what, 127?
That's it.
Kieschnick, the looping one towards the left field seats. The Cardinals now have their club record for the most home runs hit in a season with that McGwire blast.
Could be in danger next year having Mark McGwire for a full season.
Yeah, just from 3-4 in the order, McGwire and Langford. You might get 100 home runs there. Langford 31 homers this year, and remember, he missed the first 6 or 7 weeks. McGwire now has 58 home runs. And Stoney, what if he hadn't been up in the air towards the end of July? As Kieschnick takes a strike, it's 1-2. He, of course, didn't know if he was going to get traded or not. He was slumping pretty badly. Took him a while to get acclimated to the National League once he got here.
There's no telling what he would have had.
Kieschnick pounds one on the ground. Delino to Shields cuts it off. Throws out Kieschnick.
Ibar's day is done at 6 innings. He gave up a run on 3 hits. He walked 3, fanned 4, and a pretty good outing for young Manny Ibar. And a lot of people projecting him perhaps as the number 5 starter next year. A lot has to do with what's going to happen with Andy Bennis. They have tried to make a deal with him. They've talked with him somewhat. They would love to have him back to join his brother Alan, who will be back next year. But they're not sure yet what will happen with the big right-hander as he talks with Dave Duncan. Be a few teams like to have Mr. Bennis. Why can't the Cubs get a Bennis?
Andy and Allen, take your pick. They're pretty good pitchers. Manny Alexander now 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him.
There's the younger brother, Alan Bennis.
The fabulous Bennis brothers. And there's a third one, Adam Bennis. Though he's not projected as a major leaguer. I think he played single-A and double-A ball this year. That one's outside, 2-1.
Well, probably the 2 premier free agents, if they stay that way, will be Darryl Kyle and Andy Bennis as far as pitching is concerned. Still a lot of time to go before that list comes out and becomes official.
Alexander loops one in a center, base hit for him. I would think one guy that helped himself a little bit on the free agent market was Wilson Alvarez with that performance yesterday. 7 innings of 2-hit ball, got the Giants into the postseason. Ken Hill's going to be on that list, but he is certainly not what we saw at the beginning of last year. Ben McDonald to be out there. He's been hurt. One guy I haven't heard anybody talk about, Stoney, that I think's had a great year is Willie Blair of the Detroit Tigers.
He's had a magnificent year coming back from a line drive off his face and put together just an exceptional season for a team under 500. Of course, the Detroit Tigers are a team on the rise. They've got some wonderful young arms in their organization. That's a team that will get better and better.
Trachsel bunting at it, fouls it. It's 0-1.
That's a pretty good story in Detroit. Last year, it's just a woeful team. Randy Smith going over there. You might remember him as a GM with San Diego. He's signed a fairly well-deserved extension on his contract to general manage that team, and the Tigers got a lot of very talented youngsters, and that farm system is pretty productive these days.
Well, had they beaten their former mate David Wells yesterday, they would have had a shot to finish at 500 with a win today. Best they can do is 80 and 82, but considering they were 53 and 109 last year, that's pretty good. Pitching out. 1-1 the count now. Alexander stays put. The Cubs will not lose 109. It's only felt like they've lost 109. Worst they can do is 68 and 94. And again, the thing that we're clinging to like a life preserver, that was the exact record the San Francisco Giants ended up with last year. Trachsel the push bunt. McGwire fields it. His play is to first and gets it over there. 2 down in the inning. And let's see if Robin Jennings can break the tie. He'll be the Cub batter.
Good bunt by Steve Trachsel. McGwire had a thought, but Manny Alexander runs too well, so he just flipped it to first.
On the scoreboard, Jeremy Burnitz has a home run for Milwaukee. It is a grand slam. Hit off Jimmy Key, and Jimmy Key, to our knowledge, had never allowed a grand slam in his career. He was bidding to join the ranks of a former Steve Stone teammate, Jim Palmer, who went through an entire Hall of Fame career, never allowed a grand slam. The Cubs, just to tie it together to them somehow, they're the only team in baseball this year who have not hit a grand slam.
Still a few more innings to go yet before this season's over.
Yeah, we need some base runners, though. That's up and outside. Robin Jennings up there at 1-1. Cranks, but right at McGwire. That'll end the inning. Well, McGwire doing it all here today. The defense, and we've seen and heard the offense, his 58th home run. And we're still tied. At the stretch, it is Cubs 1, Cardinals 1.
Dish with the girls.
I'm going to go call the psychic hotline. They'll know what to do.
On Living Single.
Tell Latoya I said, what's up?
Weeknights at 6:30.
Jamie Foxx gets hit in the head. He's hurt, not dead. A little mistake to the psych ward he's led.
They all think he's crazy.
Tonight at 7 on WGN.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you.
Nice car.
He's not going to make it, is he?
Waiter! Waiter!
You want to call him?
You'd let me use your phone?
How generous.
You're one of the good guys.
We are all moved. Caviar?
Ameritech has a free year deal. Now get a free phone with free local calls on nights and weekends for a full year. Use it any way you want.
Everyone will get a turn, except the dog.
From Ameritech.
John Lithgow performs the Discover Card Dial-Along song.
An extemporaneous piece.
Provided for your dialing pleasure while you call 1-800-IT-PAYS-2 and apply for your Discover Card, the card with the cashback bonus award that always pays you back.
That was a nice surprise.
And that's music to everyone's ears. It pays to Discover. To apply, call 1-800-IT-PAYS-2. Accepted where you see the Nova sign.
Ryne Sandberg's day and playing career is done. His first at bat ever, a ground out to Dave Concepcion off Mario Soto in Cincinnati. As Marrero steps in, lifts one to left field, won't get out. Grant Brown is there for it. But Sandberg, just to come full circle, his last at bat, we can put it in the books now, a deep fly ball to Ray Lankford off Manny Ibar. 1-1 ball game here, and let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN-TV, Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
In St. Louis, Josh Lewin with Steve Stone and producer-director Arnie Harris. Final game of the 1997 season. Steve Trachsel's been very good so far. Bumps in a strike to Ordaz.
Ramon Tatis loosening up in the bullpen for the Cubs.
hip and a miss. It's 0-2. We're still waiting for Sammy Sosa to make an appearance in this ball game. Jim Riggleman promised he would get him in so that Sosa can end the year with 162 games played. Of 162 possible.
Lance Painter continues to throw in the bullpen for the Cardinals.
Pop-up. Tyler Houston sheds the mask. Hansen coming in, calls him off, and takes care of it.
It's a much easier play for the third baseman, and so when he calls for it, whoever's catching realizes you've got to give way, and that's what happened.
Looks like Royce Clayton's going to come up and pinch hit now.
Well, that's because it is. At 266, and this is his first pinch hitting duty of the year. Royce played now in 154 games. Pretty durable for a shortstop.
And he's had a great year as now. Of course, with Ozzie Smith's retirement, he is a solo act. Last year, a lot of controversy as Ozzie Smith still wanted to play. Royce Clayton had been acquired to play. They ended up splitting the job last year. Clayton trying to close out with a 9-game hitting streak. 9 homers for him this year, 61 runs batted in. And as a shortstop, that's okay.
Pretty good addition to this team. They got him from San Francisco. Traded away 3 pitchers for him, and San Francisco hasn't had much use out of those guys.
Very excited to get over here. Royce Clayton says when he was growing up, his room was a shrine to Ozzie Smith. Posters all over the place. And a lot of his baseball cards. Takes a rip here. So he got to play with him for a year. Now he has replaced him here in St. Louis. That is a tough thing to do.
Ozzie is one of those guys that redefined the position. Probably the most acrobatic of all the shortstops on the artificial surface. And he made himself a great hitter late in his career. When he came up with San Diego, you could actually knock the bat out of his hands with inside fastballs. But he was an offensive force before it was over for him.
Takes the walk here with 2 out, and Delino DeShields coming up. 1982, we've been talking about that as the year that Ryne Sandberg came over from the Phillies to the Cubs. That was also the year that Ozzie Smith got to St. Louis from San Diego.
Or Gary Templeton. And you've got 30 stolen bases standing at first base in Royce Clayton. And so you would think Steve Trachsel would have to hold him close. That represents a go-ahead run.
Delino DeShields takes the strike. He's been closing hot. For a guy that hit in the 220s last year, right now he's at 296 and has to be real happy about that.
They will be exercising the option on his contract. You don't find many second basemen hitting the 290s in this day and age. The Shields has put together a very solid year, and they're looking for more of the same next year. And he'll also score many more runs next year than this with McGwire in the lineup every day. Scored 92 runs this year. That's going to go up appreciatively.
Makes you appreciate the career of Ryne Sandberg. We're talking about what are admittedly great numbers for DeShields. 294 batting average. Ryne Sandberg, he will end up with a career batting average of around 285. And of course had years where he was above 300. 100 runs scored. Ryne Sandberg has been there, done that. Did it in 82, led the league in 84, his MVP year. Did it again in 85, 89, 90, 91, 92.
Wouldn't be surprised if Clayton took off here. Even if he's thrown out, you don't mind leading off next inning with DeShields. Better lead off with him than Plantier. Let's see if Tony La Russa, on the last day of the season, is going to send his shortstop.
He doesn't, and Trachsel's down the front slope of the mound. He throws out DeShields. That ends the bottom of the 7th inning. Cubs will be up in the 8th, trying to break a 1-1 tie.
that.
Low lease.
You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
He has everything, all the bells and whistles.
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
Excellent product for a good price.
Shop smart, live well, boys.
I want it all.
If you have a phone in your home, you can use it anytime it's on. We were calling from Ameritech. Just pay when you use it. Click, dial, click. Just click, dial, click. Rearrange your carpool or just plan a soiree. Click, dial, click. One call, free fridge. You're on your way. Ameritech.
Your link to better communication.
Vine Line makes a great gift for any occasion. Call 773-404-CUBS and receive a name and lights photo with a 2-year order. Vine Line.
It's the next best thing to knowing the manager.
Final game of the 97 regular season, Cubs and Cardinals on Ryne Sandberg's last day. Rhino done after an 0-for-2 performance. And as we get into the 8th inning, tied at 1, Lance Painter, the new St. Louis pitcher. New second baseman in there as well, David Bell.
There's a look at David Bell. And Lance Painter comes into this one. 0-1, 5.40 ERA, on for the 14th time.
There's a nice white sign. Boy, doesn't it always happen that way? Just when they've got a chance to be on TV, they turn the sign around. Got to know where the camera is, guys. We give you some play. There's Painter, and here is Miguel Cairo. Sammy Sosa might be hitting this inning. He has not played yet today. Cairo is the man who jogged out there to second base to replace Ryne Sandberg in the bottom of the 3rd. Lifts this one into shallow right. David Bell going back. Dimitri Young coming on for the out. Last game of the season, and I know it's kind of corny. I know that
First baseman, Mark Grace.
Probably a lot of fans don't want to hear the broadcasters thank a lot of people, but if you'll indulge us, I mean, there are a lot of people that have made this a very special, if not winning, 1997 season, and we want to thank some people along the way as we get towards the end of this game. Mark Grace with a fly ball down the left field line. Who's going to get it, or does, at the stripe? Personally, I guess in my first year, I want to say thanks to all the Cubs fans who have welcomed me to the fold. Special thank you to Steve, of course. Been a great year, Stoney. Looking forward to another one with you.
Well, it has been a unique season. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully Josh will be able to be teamed up again next year. And it certainly was a season that had its ups and downs. Unfortunately for the Cubs, more downs than ups. And unfortunately, Josh, you didn't get a chance to do all that many home games, and on the road, things were a whole lot tougher for us.
Well, I feel like this was my fault this year because, again, the team was horrible on the road. Harry was fine at home. I mean, you know, Harry had a great year.
He was 3 over at home, and unfortunately on the road, things didn't go quite as well for us.
My bad. If you want to blame somebody this year, I'll take it. I can stand the heat. But actually, I do want to thank Harry too for a dream come true, getting a chance to be on the same broadcast day as with him. The most passionate and exciting broadcaster baseball has ever known, and I'm really happy to hear that Harry wants to come back in 1998. I'm sure he'll be back.
Terrell Lowry getting a chance to hit.
At WGN, obviously, Arnie Harris has been terrific. I'd always heard that, but I got to experience that firsthand this year.
And next year, if you do come back, he will pick up a check. He promises.
Seriously?
Yeah, usually takes 1 year to get used to it.
All right, I'm back then. Mandy Cohen, unbelievable work this year. Special thanks to Mandy. Kim Fields at WGN, of course, Peter Walker, Jim Zerwick, Dennis Fitzsimons, everybody at WGN, and in Tribune Broadcasting. I know it's been tough for those guys to watch a 68 and 93 season, but the big thank you goes to the fans. As Lowry swings and misses, $2.2 million almost in a year that was a colossal disappointment. You talk about an MVP year, 2.2 million fans at Wrigley Field. That is incredible. Cubs and Cardinals tied at 1. We are in the middle of the 8th in St. Louis.
Freno's getting written up by the principal.
That's F-R-E-N-O. Make sure you don't put 2 N's in it. My mom would have a fit.
Tonight at 6 on WGN.
There's lots of places to take your family this summer. So why not take them someplace they actually want to go, like McDonald's? For a McRib Extra Value meal, a tangy McRib sandwich, ice-cold Minute Maid lemonade, and a large order of America's favorite fries. It's the coolest place to be on a summer day. It might even make the family road trip bearable. Well, almost.
Out here, it's not the fittest who survive. It's the most prepared.
Inside the cage, there's one rule. Come strong, or don't come at all.
Hiya, son.
Hi, Dad.
I'm off to work now.
Okay, Dad.
With complete 24-hour service, Geico Auto Insurance starts working on your claim immediately.
Be careful with her.
We'll get you back in your car quickly, so you won't have to rely on alternate transportation. Geico Direct. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This portion of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by CarQuest Auto Parts. Call 1-800-492-PART for the nearest location.
To the bottom of the 8th, and there is a new pitcher on the mound for the Cubs. You see that hotel there in the distance. I'm not saying that this particular relief pitcher that's coming on right now for the Cubs is the one, but there was a relief pitcher that actually inquired of the hotel concierge where he could pick up a cab to get from that hotel to this ballpark. And as you can see from that shot, that'll be, what, about a 60-cent fare. So it might have been Mark Pachota. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But, you know, first go-around in the league. I've certainly had my share of similar foibles.
And Pachota comes on at 3-0, 2.96 ERA on for the 24th time. Steve Trachsel did a nice job. 1 run on 7 hits through 7 innings. And he'll leave with a no decision.
Phil Plantier takes a strike. And Terrell Lowry stays in the game in center. That pinballs Robin Jennings over to left. And there you see Mark Pachota has a chance to go to 4-0 if the Cubs can get a lead for him. But a most immediate concern after Plantier, he'll face Mark McGwire, who, if you missed it earlier, homered in the 6th inning, number 58.
We'd also like to send some thanks to the Media Relations Department, which makes our job a whole lot easier. Sharon Panazzo, Chuck Wasserstrom, and Wanda Taylor.
Dan Guzza, too, assisting in his first year.
They did a terrific job this year. And also the marketing department, John McDonough, Jay Blunk, Rebecca Polaronis, Artie Dixit, Susan Atulski, Mary Therese Kraft, Maria Torres, John Davila, Tina Fontenot, and Marivet Lopez. They also did a great job.
Marivet soon to be a mommy. Congratulations to Marivet. Plantier is on. McGwire is up. The fans are on their feet in St. Louis. They're trying to will home run number 59.
Well, Pashota in the first game of the series faced McGwire, and he walked him. Now he gets a chance to face him again with a go-ahead run on first. And Willie McGee comes on to pinch run for Phil Plantier, and he'll get a standing ovation. Of course, they're already standing for McGwire, so it doesn't mean all that much. But when McGee is announced, they roar here in St. Louis.
Well, for Cardinal fans, this is everything in a snapshot right here. McGee on and McGwire up. And McGee is on the move. He is in there at second base.
Willie McGee got those old legs in motion, stealing just his 8th base of the year. And Jim Riggleman in a late season argument talking to Greg Bonet. We'll watch it again. Throw beats him, but it looks like the foot is on the bag before the tag.
Well, this is for old time's sake. Greg Bonet threw Jim Riggleman out of a ball game here last year. In September, Riggs just goes out to say his piece. Runner at second, and in doing that, now I know Jim Riggleman wants to win this ball game. He got first base open. What are you going to do here with McGwire up there and first base open now? If they intentionally walk him, Riggleman better get an escort out of their stadium. No, Riggs knows what the moment is. They'll pitch to Mark McGwire. That one rammed in there from Pashota. Pashota struck out McGwire back at Wrigley. But didn't seem to want any part of him the other day here in St. Louis. Down and in. Only Babe Ruth and Roger Maris have 59 home runs or more. McGwire now with 58. He's hit 3 in the last 2 days. Heat. 2-2 to big Mark McGwire.
Big cut, no contact.
Already, this guy's got 15 home runs in this month of September. Cardinal record for any month. 2-2 pitch. Make it 3-2. Couple days, Mark McGwire has walked 4 times. He has homered 3 times, and he has struck out once. It's like there is nothing else in the universe for Mark McGwire to do. It's got to be one of those 3 things. This time it's a walk. He is 5th in the last 2 days. Cardinal fans are booing, but once they stop, they'll realize that in a 1-1 game, they've got 2 on and nobody out with Ray Langford coming up. Langford 1 out of 3 in this one. He's flirting with a 300 batting average. Also 2 RBI short of 100. Strike, 1 called to him. Some other thank yous, by the way, while we have the chance. Frank Maloney and the ticket operations staff at Wrigley. Great job this year, as always. Same can be said for Tom Cooper and his staff in stadium operations. Publication staff turned out some great stuff as always. Ernie Roth, Jay Rand, and everybody. That one down and away, 1-1. Mark McGwire, that's the other Mark McGwire in business operations. He heads up a great department. Connie Kowal, Carl Rice, everybody else. We say thanks to them for a job well done this year. Langford hammers away, drives this one to right field, into the corner. Caught at the wall. Brooks Kieschnick grabs it. McGee tags and goes to third.
Well, that one just missed going out of the ballpark at one of the shallowest parts of the park, and Brooks Kieschnick goes back to the wall. Doesn't have much room to spare, but stays with it. Good concentration on the part of Brooks, and he makes the catch with his back to the wall. And on the play, Willie McGee takes third base just 90 feet away when scoring the go-ahead run.
The Cub destroyer, Gary Gaetti, is the batter.
Well, you've got to watch the hole between third and short. That's where Gaetti hits a lot of ground balls, and if he does hit a ground ball, it can easily be 2. If he doesn't run all that well, and he's grounded into 20 of them this year.
Little half-swing foul into the seats. Bob Patterson getting ready in the Cub bullpen. Look at that against the Cubs this year. At 38 years old, this is a heck of a season for Gary Gaetti. 17 homers, 68 runs batted in. Teams off, and he blasts it to right field. Kieschnick is back. This will get the run home.
Well, Gaetti, a veteran who knows exactly what pitch to look for. With his 6th sacrifice fly, the Cardinals have the lead. Gaetti gets a hanging slider up in the zone. He knows that's a pitch to hit a fly ball, and that's exactly what he does. And the Cardinals have the lead.
Two-1 to score, and here is Dmitri Young, 0 for 3. Now the Cubs will have to rally in the top of the 9th. 5, 6, 7 in the order due up.
Hanson, Houston, Kieschnick, and I'm sure you'll see Sammy.
Young with a slowly hit ground ball in the hole. It's Alexander, goes to Cairo, ends the inning. And the season has but 3 outs left to it. Cubs trying to prolong it. They will trail heading into the 9th. It is 2-1.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places.
Watch Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Weekdays at 4:30 on WGN Channel 9.
Who cares for the past or behind?
Wouldn't you love to be free? To go wherever your whims take you. Whenever you want. For any reason at all.
Drifting along with a tumbling tumbleweed.
With Southwest, you can.
You are now free to move about the country.
Waiter! Waiter!
You want to call him?
You'd let me use your phone? How generous. You're one of the good guys.
We are all moved, caviar.
Ameritech has a free year deal. Now get a free phone with free local calls on nights and weekends for a full year. Use it any way you want.
Everyone will get a turn, except the dog.
From Ameritech.
Remember, Mr. Pearson, once you enter the witness protection program, you'll disappear. Here's your new passport, driver's license, and keys. New house, new car. Mr. Simons.
Happy trails to you. Until
nice car.
Again. Yeah. Happy trails. Beautiful.
He's not going to make it, is he?
Normally this would be a spot for the Eck, but instead they stay with Lance Painter for now, and Sammy Sosa to pinch hit. Ryne Sandberg's day and career is done. He went out 0 for 2 this afternoon, and Sosa, now having played in all 162 games for the Cubs. Willie McGee stays in the game for St. Louis. He's in right. Scarborough Green is in center. Dimitri Young moves to left. Cubs looking to tie it in the 9th. There's Young now in left field. The Cubs 0-74 this year when trailing after 8. I'd say this would be a nice time for the first 9th inning comeback for last chance.
And this is Sammy's first chance to pinch hit. When you start every game, you just don't pinch hit all that often.
Well, he takes, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Curtis King is loosening in the St. Louis pen just in case. But again, not Eckersley.
Kind of surprised they allowed the left-handed Painter to face Sammy. But face him he will.
There's a strike to Sammy, and before we forget, just want to finish thanking all the folks with the Cubs organization. Obviously from Jim Dowdle and Andy McPhail on down through the ranks. They've had a lot to deal with this year with the team at 68 and 93, but it's been a pleasure to deal with everybody. Sosa, the big rip. It's 2-2. The baseball operations staff, Ed Lynch, Scott Nelson. There you see the Cubs record. Trailing after 8. Traveling secretary Jimmy Bank. Had to see all the carnage on the road this year. The team has only won 26 road games this season. Arlene Gill, executive assistant to Andy McPhail and Ed Lynch. Thanks to them, and thank you, Sammy Sosa, says Lance Painter. Sosa offering at that one, and Sammy strikes out to open up the 9th inning.
Well, Sammy will be frozen at the 174 strikeout mark with his low breaking ball down. He tried to check his swing, but nothing doing, and so we're going to see Mike Hubbard now coming on to pinch hit.
Chrysler Plymouth game summary. Ryne Sandberg ending his Hall of Fame career with an 0 for 2 afternoon. The last at bat, he almost took the ball into the stands. He just missed a home run. Mark McGwire did not miss. He took one out to center for home run number 58. So everything that the fans were buzzing about, they have seen today. A McGwire home run. They knew they would see the Sandberg retirement. Rhino took himself out of the game in the bottom of the 3rd. Hubbard takes, and a strike is called. The Cubs down to their last 2 outs of 1997. Now 2 strikes to count to Hubbard.
Well, we especially want to thank Arnie Harris for keeping our mics open all year long. I know there were times when he wanted to shut them off, but he was kind enough not to do that.
Pleasure to work with you, Arnie. Thanks so much for everything.
And, of course, it'll be basketball for Andy Cohn and Arnie Harris. And wait till next year, because spring training is right around the corner.
Boy, that does sound nice.
Mesa, Arizona, the Ho-Ho Cams once again doing a great job for the Cubs. And that beautiful new ballpark down there. Jose Hernandez in the on-deck circle.
I want to thank Arnie and Mandy for not mentioning the fact that the Bulls ended up with more wins this year than the Cubs. But as we've been talking about, there is promise for 1998.
How about the sun coming out, making an appearance here in St. Louis on an otherwise overcast day?
Our final thank you will be to Mr. Sun. Hubbard down on strikes. And there's 1 out to go in 1997. And believe me, Stoney, I don't want to presuppose that Jose Hernandez is out here. I obviously hope he's not, but just in case, a final thanks to you. I'm sure all the Cub fans would echo my feelings that you are incredible at what you do, and it's been a pleasure. I'm just sorry we didn't get to talk about more wins.
Well, it's been a very nice year, and perhaps with a few changes, Josh, we will have a lot more victories to talk about in 1998.
Hernandez looks at one downstairs. So if this score holds, the Cubs will end up 68-94. Again, 500, better than 500 at home, but they lost 55 on the road. If indeed they lose this one, it's 2-0 to Jose Hernandez. Only one change that we know about for sure. Marco Olivares is coaching his last game at first for the Cubs. He'll be replaced by Tom Gamboa, it looks like, next year. There's a strike to Hernandez. So we say so long to Mako and thank him. Of course, we say so long to Ryne today. Swing, fly ball right field. It is caught. That's it. Well, appropriately for Cardinal fans, it's Willie McGee that catches the last ball of the season. For Cub fans, another road loss and a more far-reaching loss. Ryne Sandberg is now done playing professional baseball. Mark McGwire ends his year with 58 home runs. He hit one on an 0-2 pitch today to join only a couple of other right-handed hitters that had ever hit 58 home runs, Hank Greenberg and Jimmy Fox.
Well, everybody congratulating everybody on the Cardinals side. The Cubs will finish their season at 68-94. And that'll give them something to improve upon next year. It would be hard to believe that the Cubs can go through another season like this one. I don't think that they're going to. It was a very difficult year. McGwire throws away his cap. And the Cardinal fans have 3 more years to look at Mark McGwire at first base here and to add up how many home runs he's going to hit. And the Cubs left with a lot of question marks, Josh, just exactly where they want to fill the holes first, what the team will look like. They have to go through the expansion draft on November 18th. There will be some draft day deals there. They'll be scouring the wires for Rule 5 acquisitions. Last year was Rodney Myers. This year, Ramon Tatis came over in Rule 5. And the Cubs congratulating one another. They have survived this year. Mark Clark came over, a very pleasant addition, as was Lance Johnson. The youngsters, Doug Glanville, did a great job. Jeremy Gonzalez, a great job. Kevin Ory had a very fine rookie season. So there are a lot of bright spots on the horizon for the Cubs. Maybe we'll see Kerry Woods next year. There's a chance of that, and that promising youngster certainly has a spot in the rotation. So it should be a very interesting winter. There's a lot of work to do, and I think that the team that ended the season this year will be vastly different from the team that takes the field the beginning of 1998.
Cubs lose the finale 2-1. And we'll be back with much more, a lot to talk about. We'll come back to St. Louis right after this.
Don't you hate paying all those bills? Well, at Ameritech, we combine your local and long-distance calls into one convenient bill. We can even put your Ameritech cellular and internet service on your phone bill. Unfortunately, some long-distance companies prefer to send you a separate bill. That's their idea of easy. Ameritech delivers what you want. One bill, one check to write, no hassles. Stick with what works. Ameritech. Your link to better communication.
Tom's a single dad ready to give dating a spin.
Here's the key to my van.
The Tom Show, tonight at 8 on WGN.
Well, folks, Doug is the man. Doug took this place global. Doug made commitments around the world. Doug convinced me to risk it all. And it was Doug who shipped everything with some company I'd never heard of. Screwed the whole thing up. And that's why Doug is locked up in the closet. Hello? You okay in there, buddy?
Next time, make it FedEx, the most reliable express company there is.
Can I come out now? No, Doug. I'm not finished singing your praises.
low interest,
Cash back.
low lease.
You want a new minivan, and we want to sell you one. It's that simple. At Chrysler and Plymouth, we want what you want. And now, during the Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance, there are big savings on the minivan you want. Get $1,000 cash back on Chrysler Town & Country. Or save on Plymouth Voyager, the lowest priced minivan you can buy. Savings on the biggest selection of award-winning minivans. The Chrysler and Plymouth model year clearance. Because we want what you want. It's that simple.
Here's a Budweiser play of today's game. Mark McGwire grabs a slice of history as he tees off on Steve Trachsel. Gets the 0-2 breaking ball, hammers it out to center field. That tied the game. Cardinals go on to win it 2-1. Mark McGwire ends his season with 58 home runs. And the Cubs, well, they didn't pitch badly today. They just didn't win today. 2-1 the final. Phil Regan, the Cub pitching coach, will have a comment on today's game and what's in store for the offseason. We'll talk to Phil Regan right after this.
Have 150 pounds per square inch? It may come as a surprise, but the students in this physics class are learning to be plumbers. A licensed union plumber studies for 5 years, in the classroom and on the job. When it comes to plumbing, look for this symbol. It's backed by 5,000 union professionals and means quality, guaranteed work. Look for the Plumbing Council contractors in your area. They're good people to know.
There's lots of places to take your family this summer. So why not take them someplace they actually want to go? Like McDonald's for a Spanish omelet McMuffin meal. A spicy little breakfast number with peppers and sausage. With crispy hash browns and orange juice, it's the coolest place to be on a summer day. It might even make the family road trip bearable. Well, almost.
I want a side-by-side refrigerator, so I have compartments for everything.
I would love a new mattress.
It has everything, all the bells and whistles.
Very, very comfortable.
Style. Totally kid-proof. Plaid, and then flowers.
Price is always going to be important to me. Always, always, always.
So whether you need it or just want it, we've got it.
Excellent product for a good price.
Shop smart, live well. I want it all.
Join Honorary Chairman Harry Carey, Sammy Sosa, Mark Grace, Andre Dawson, and a host of Cubs players and coaches for the 13th Annual Cubs Convention, January 16th through the 18th at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, sponsored by Pepsi Cola. Enjoy autograph and photo sessions, hitting and pitching clinics, special events just for kids, and much more. It's the greatest off-season event in all of baseball. For more information, call the Cubs Convention hotline at 773-404-CUBS.
Dear Gussie, there's only one thing missing. Every last drop of Pepsi. Any ideas? Yeah, I'm working on it. I think the fat one knows.
Pepsi. Generation Next.
Back in St. Louis, Josh Lewin, Steve Stone, and Phil Regan joining us, the Cub pitching coach. And Phil, I know that it's been a frustrating season. Your return to the Chicago Cubs fold. I know you hoped it would go a lot better than this, but did you find some rays of sunshine? Give us some reason for hope in '98.
Well, Josh, there were some rays of hope, I really think, because number one, when we left spring training, we really didn't think that we would have as many good games by our starting pitching. It was one of the weaknesses that we had, but that came along fairly well. And, you know, we've had some bright spots. Kevin Foster, the first half of the season, winning 10 ball games. Trachsel, the last half of the season, I thought pitched much better than his record showed. Kevin Tapney coming back and showing that he could pitch without his split finger. And getting Mark Clark, which really adds to our rotation. So those were some real bright spots, I felt. You know, Bob Patterson pitched well all year. Terry Adams had a chance to save some ball games and ended up with 17 or 18 saves and get the experience to maybe go into next year. But Mark Peixoto, I thought showed us a lot. This was a guy we didn't even count on, and he came up and pitched some good baseball for us. And for that reason, there are some good arms. I've talked to a lot of scouts that have come through, and they said, you know, slowly but surely you're gathering some good arms, and your pitching is coming around. So you know, a lot of times it's just a matter of experience, and you keep acquiring them and trying to get better, which I think we'll do in the off season. But we've got a pretty good nucleus, I think, that we can start with.
Well, Phil, coming into 1997, when you looked at the starting rotation, including Terry Mulholland as the opening day starter, they were a cumulative 33 games under 500.
Right.
During the course of the year, you have added 60% of a starting rotation. I'm talking about Mark Clark, Kevin Tapani, and Jeremy Gonzalez. You would have to say, heading into next year, just those three guys alone, and you can factor in Kerry Wood if you want, and perhaps a lot of competition for the number 5 spot. That's if you don't acquire anybody. You'd have to say the Cubs are far ahead going into 1998 than they were heading into 1997.
Well, I think you're exactly right, Steve, because you know, even Steve Trachsel had kind of an off year from what we had expected him to do, but I think he learned a lot. You know, we made a lot of adjustments in his delivery. We're trying to get him to pitch faster, but today he showed that, you know, the type of pitcher that he is, and if he does this all year long next year, this guy could be a factor. Foster made a lot of improvements, I thought. So with Kerry Woods down there, there are six, maybe 7 candidates that we're looking at for the starting rotation next year, and that's not even counting if we make some kind of a deal and maybe try to get a big number 1 or number 2 pitcher.
Phil, you've been there for finales as a player, obviously, and as a coach, and even as a manager. What's it like the last day of the season? You're done. I mean, the curtain has been lowered, and this is it. How long does it take you to kind of come down from everything that's happened this year and really start to think about everything for next year?
Well, not very long after this year, Josh, let me tell you, because this was a tough year for us, and you know, all the way around. I told Riggs this morning, I really thought, you know, in working with the pitchers, they all worked hard. They were great in everything that we did, but we just came up short on in a lot of different areas. And you know, but you look, sometimes you're just glad to get it over with because you've struggled. Today was a good example, you know, of a ball game where we walk a guy, he steals second base, and we lose it on a little, you know, fly ball or base hit, but and lose 2-1. So those are we've been in so many ball games that we have lost, you know, late in the games, and those are kind of heartbreakers. So it's not easy. You know, you miss a lot of these guys, and you look forward to seeing them next year, but maybe under better conditions and with a better ball club.
Well, Phil, there are certainly some questions that have been answered as far as the starting rotation is concerned, and I think that everybody associated with the Cubs is fairly comfortable with the 3 men we mentioned coming back, certainly. And if Steve Trachsel is one of those guys that comes back, you have to be happy with that because you have to believe he'll have a better year next year than this. But one of the real questions that hasn't been answered is the bullpen. And the bullpen this year, as we know, 20 games under 500, but more important than that, the one question mark would be Terry Adams. You saw him all year. You saw a man trying to learn to be a closer. Obviously, Mel Rojas got the first shot out of spring training.
Right.
He couldn't do it, and Terry Adams was the man who was trying to get him the ball. Then it fell to Terry Adams to come on in and try to close the door. Can Terry Adams do that? Will anything that happened to him this year, and he had some trying times, affect what he's going to do next year?
Well, Steve, I think a lot of times a young pitcher, sometimes it takes him a while to become a closer. I thought at times this year he did a pretty good job after we handed it over to him, after we traded Rojas, and at times he came in and looked like he was going to be the man that we wanted. And then I would say the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks it's kind of slacked off. But I think what Terry needs is to add another pitch, personally. He's got a pretty good curveball, and I'd like to see him throw that a little bit more. We tried to work on a split finger with him, which I think would be outstanding for him if he can do that. The problem is he's got kind of short fingers and doesn't really have a good command of the split finger. But I think, you know, his fastball and slider are pretty good pitches, but they're too close to the same speed. Plus location. It doesn't matter how hard you throw. Terry has to realize that as good a fastball as he has, he still has to make good location when he comes into pitch. You just can't throw the ball down the middle, and because they're going to hit it. You can turn a pitching machine up to 100 miles an hour, and within 2 pitches they'll adjust the speed if it's always in the same area. So you know, he's got enough to close with. It's just a matter to get it over mentally and to adjust. But I would like to see him come up maybe with another pitch, something that is a little bit more off speed.
You mentioned Kevin Tapani, able to win without his split finger, and he went 9-3, and it's hard to believe he could look any better than he did the second part of this season. When he comes back next year and that hand is 100%, do you think he's going to go back to throwing the split finger again, or has he convinced himself, Phil, that that straight change and the mixing of speeds of his fastball is good enough to win and win big in the National League.
Well, Steve, I talked to him about that, and I don't think his thinking right now is probably he doesn't really need the split finger anymore because he's developed such a good changeup, and a lot of scouts back there thought he was throwing one because it's got such tremendous movement like down and away to a left-hand hitter, but it's really a circle change type. So in his mind right now, I think he's proved to himself that he doesn't need that to win. And why take the chance? He's going to go see the doctor on it and see if it, what effect, he still has some pain in there a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to see if over the winter if that goes away. I think it probably will, but at least we know that no matter if he has it or he doesn't have it, he still can win and be a quality pitcher.
Bill, final question for you. Steve and I kind of put ourselves on the spot earlier today picking the playoff winners. I want to ask you to do the same. Just going with your gut. You've seen the National League teams, all of them this year. Who do you like to come out of the National League and go to the World Series?
Well, that's a good question. You have to like maybe, this might surprise some people, but I kind of like San Francisco a little bit, but I don't know if their pitching is going to hold up. They got all left-handers going against Florida. In my own mind, I guess I go with the pitching. That's Atlanta.
All right, you're with Stoney. Pitchers stay together. Phil, thanks for everything. I know you're headed back to Grand Rapids for a little while before you take off for winter ball. Have yourself a great winter.
Thank you very much, fellas.
All right, that's Phil Regan. Steve and I will be back with a closing comment right after this quick timeout.
You want to fight back? Join us.
Coming this fall, one of the most highly anticipated series of the new season. Lost for 20 years, his legacy to the world will finally be revealed. From the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry's Earth, Final Conflict. Premiering October 18th on WGN. Are you ready to dish the dirt?
You stand behind him, honey. He has got the tush of a god. Hello.
Lay down the rules.
I'm taking a class in kickboxing. Do you want to be my final exam?
Walk through the minefields of love.
You think after God created dogs, she'd know creating men was redundant?
WGN's got just the girls for you.
Today was a good day.
Khadijah, Max, Regine, and Sinclair.
You the man. Come on.
They're living with attitude.
Then I do it again.
On Living Single weeknights.
Josh Lewin with Steve Stone. 10th inning show coming up. But Stoney, thank you again for everything. It's been real. It's been fun.
My pleasure, Josh, and it has been quite a year. One that we will not soon forget.
Well, we'll try. 68 and 94. We hope we could bring you better tidings this year, but you've been a great partner. I really look forward to it again next year.
Okay, and we'll see you next year. So Josh has a 10th inning for you featuring the GMC game highlights. I'm sure you won't want to miss that.
Boy, you are outstanding at just teasing the next stuff. How'd you learn how to do that? Arnie Harris is the producer-director of Cubs Baseball on WGN. Associate producer, Mandy Cohen. Thank you very much, Mandy. And to our entire crew, both here and, of course, back in Chicago, thanks, everybody, for a fun year. Cubs lose to the Cardinals today, 2-1. We've got more to tell you. The 10th inning show is next.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN. Brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. The Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Ameritech, your link to better communication. Pepsi, Generation Next. Montgomery Ward. Nissan, your local Nissan store, encourages you to test drive the all-new 1998 Altima today. And by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places.
The companions are here, but what on earth do they want? Gene Roddenberry's Earth, Final Conflict. Premiering October 18th.
Inside the cage, there's one rule. Come strong, or don't come at all.
There's no law that says as you get older, you have to slow down.
This is the car. This is the offer. This is the time. Time to see your Lincoln dealer for your 1997 Lincoln Town Car. This is your chance to save with $5,000 cash back. This is the car. Lincoln Town Car. Inside and out, this is what a luxury car should be. Now with $5,000 cash back, save on Lincoln Town Car. This is the time, because this great offer won't last. So see your Lincoln dealer now for your best deal.
In the world of tools, there's only one true craftsman. Craftsman makes anything possible.
Yeah.
Get ready for the hottest event of the summer. It's GMC Red Letter Days, the summer clearance event. And it's going on right now at your GMC dealers with the best values of the year. Like $12.50 cash back or 2.9% APR GMAC financing on Sonoma. Or how about a sizzling $1,500 cash back or 2.9% financing on Jimmy. Even 5.9% financing for up to 60 months on Sierra. Red hot deals during Red Letter Days, the sizzling summer clearance at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana GMC dealers now.
The 10th inning is brought to you by GMC, your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC dealers.
Josh Lewin in St. Louis, where the Cubs have lost the season finale. It was a finale that featured a Mark McGwire home run, number 58 to end the season. We'll show you that as part of the GMC highlights. That is straight ahead here on WGN.
Freno and his students make headlines.
That's F-R-E-N-O. Make sure you don't put two N's in it. My mom would have a fit.
But the truth may get him fired.
You wrote the story.
Well, you published it without my permission.
Yeah, but you wrote the story.
And all new Freno. Then on the Parenthood, Zaria's found Mr. Right.
Me?
You know, this guy doesn't seem like Zaria's type.
Aren't I light on my feet?
Those aren't your feet, those are mine.
And all new Parenthood after Freno.
Tonight at 6 on WGN. Think affordable luxury is just a myth? Think again. Your Lincoln dealer has Mark 8 and Lincoln Continental, each with $4,000 cash back. Mark 8 moves you with a mighty 280 horsepower V8 Intech system. The intense front-wheel drive Lincoln Continental brings enthusiasm to luxury and comfort. Continental and Mark 8, both with $4,000 cash back. Two cars with awesome power and legendary value. Stop in soon before this offer is ancient history.
Well, folks, Doug is the man. Doug took this place global. Doug made commitments around the world. Doug convinced me to risk it all. And it was Doug who shipped everything with some company I'd never heard of. Screwed the whole thing up. And that's why Doug is locked up in the closet. Hello? You okay in there, buddy?
Next time, make it FedEx, the most reliable express company there is.
Can I come out now? No, Doug. I'm not finished singing your praises.
Get ready for the hottest event of the summer. It's GMC Red Letter Days, the summer clearance event. And it's going on right now at your GMC dealers with the best values of the year. Like $1,500 cash back or 2.9% APR GMAC financing on Jimmy. Or how about a sizzling $2,000 cash back or 2.9 financing on Safari conversion vans. Even $2,000 cash back or 2.9 financing on full-size Savannah conversion vans. Red hot deals during Red Letter Days, the sizzling summer clearance at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana GMC dealers now.
Here are today's GMC game highlights, and the Cubs had the lead in the 6th inning on the Dave Hansen suicide, but that lead did not last long. Mark McGwire, home run number 58. That ties an all-time single-season record by a right-handed batter. That one was measured at 414 feet. Cardinals and Cubs tied at 1, capping a huge year for Big Red. In the 8th inning, Cardinals win it here. Gary Gaetti, he's been absolutely destroying the Cubs all season. He does it again with a sac fly today, brings home Willie McGee. McGee also caught the final out of this 1997 season. It's still up in the air whether or not McGee will be back with the St. Louis Cardinals. We don't know. a lot about the Chicago Cubs 1998 season. A lot of holes left to be filled. The big one, of course, is at second base. Ryne Sandberg's career, a Hall of Fame career, is now over. He went 0 for 2 today. His last at bat, a deep fly ball to center field, almost got out of the ballpark. Ray Lankford caught it to end Ryne Sandberg's career. 2-1 again, the final. Back with a closing comment right after a quick timeout.
This is the car. This is the offer. This is the time. Time to see your Lincoln dealer for your 1997 Lincoln Town Car. This is your chance to save with $5,000 cash back. This is the car, Lincoln Town Car. Inside and out, this is what a luxury car should be. Now with $5,000 cash back, save on Lincoln Town Car. This is the time, because this great offer won't last. So see your Lincoln dealer now for your best deal.
Sometimes, red Chianti lipstick is not fabulous. And little black dresses are not sexy. But folic acid is fabulous. And selenium is sexy. GNC's Women's Ultra Mega. With the hottest vitamins, minerals, and herbs. Fabulous. Women's Ultra Mega multivitamins. Exclusively at General Nutrition Centers. GNC. Live well.
Get ready for the hottest event of the summer. It's GMC Red Letter Days, the summer clearance event. And it's going on right now at your GMC dealers with the best values of the year. Like $12.50 cash back or 2.9% APR GMAC financing on Sonoma. Or how about a sizzling $1,500 cash back or 2.9% financing on Jimmy. Even 5.9% financing for up to 60 months on Sierra. Red hot deals during Red Letter Days, the sizzling summer clearance at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana GMC dealers now.
Ryne Sandberg leaves the field for the final time. The Cubs have lost to the Cardinals 2-1, and the 1997 season is over. So many people to thank, and if we began now, we'd be on the air for quite some time. I guess I only have time to say thanks again to Arnie Harris, Mandy Cohen, and everybody at WGN on the Cubs side, John McDonough and everybody. It's been a pleasure to work with you. To Steve Stone, especially to Harry Carey, it's been a thrill of a lifetime to work with you, Harry. Looking forward to spring training in 1998. And hopefully, Cub fans, wherever you are, hopefully you'll be looking forward to Mesa, Arizona. Hopefully 1998 will indeed be that next year we've been hearing so much about in that all-too-famous phrase, wait till next year. Josh Lewin from St. Louis, have a great winter.
The 10th inning has been brought to you by GMC, your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC dealers.
Life's been good, I guess. My ragged old heart's been blessed with so much more than meets the eye. Mark McGwire has destroyed the baseball. I've got a past I won't soon forget, but you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm still learning how to fly. Are you kidding me? Oh, God! I said I'm 10,000 miles ahead. The day I rest is the day I die. You are the home run king. I've got past like a broken wing, but you ain't seen anything.